It was such a relaxing song. Like, oh, da, 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 da. Oh man, what is up,
Oh, good
geeks and
morning.
geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdowns to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, we also got the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're trying something new today, so that's exciting, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope nothing goes wrong, right, JC?
Joe, please, dear God, don't hit the wrong button on anything, man. That's all I'm asking for.
It's kind of really hard for me to do that on this, so
Yeah, I know.
we're good to
Pretty
go.
much.
All right.
Pretty much. We got a great show for you guys. Of course, we're going to be talking about the incredible episode 8 of WandaVision. We're also going to be doing some rapid fire, some geeky weekly headlines, if you will. And we're going to talk also about DC movie news that involves Superman as well as the Snyder Cut. But first, March is tomorrow. Tomorrow is March 1st. And
Yes.
it
the
is our
most wonderful time.
Oh, JC's talking about NCAA basketball, of course, but
That's part of it.
I'm going to be talking about our annual event. Actually, we've just did one back in December. It is our March Madness social media event. If you recall, we've done this where we had a March Madness voting tournament that involved cartoon villains from our childhood. We also did a Marvel movie madness where we determined by votes from all you followers out there which Marvel movie is the greatest. You guys voted Endgame, by the way. And we did the Santa March Madness event in December where we found out what we all knew, of course, Tim Allen is the greatest Santa of all time. But this time, we're going to be doing something very different, and I'm also very excited about it because I think it's going to turn out to be quite interesting, and I hope you fans are going to love it. What we're going to be doing is best comic book movie casting choices as the theme of our March Madness event. What does that mean? The Geekcast is actually going through a list of 30 of the best casting choices across all comic book movies. Some of the best ones, some of the smaller ones, some from the 90s, all the way up to present day. And we are going to be putting together a ranking of the top 16 comic book casting choices. If you're thinking about some in your head right now, that involves guys like Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, Heath Ledger, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Ryan Reynolds, for crying out loud. So we're going to put together a ranking of the top 16, and then starting tomorrow, that will be the first round and the first match of the March Madness event Best Comic Book Movie Casting Choice. And of course, you know how it works. It's going to be a voting system. You vote. We're going to have two choices go head to head. You vote for the one who was the better casting choice based on their performance or who you think fit that character the best. And of course, throughout the month, we're going to be putting two actors head to head. And by the end of March, we should have our ultimate casting choice. And I have no idea who it's going to be. I have no idea at all who it's going to be. But we're going to put together our list. The brackets will be out tomorrow. Voting will start tomorrow. And gentlemen, I want to hear who your leading choices to win the tournament. Joe, we'll start with you. Who's your pick to win the best comic book movie casting choice for our March Madness event?
Of all time. Well, that was a
All
tough
time.
one.
All time.
I got to say, my number one best casting choice is going and paying homage to the OG himself, Christopher Reeves as Superman.
That's a good one.
Superman. That's the one I grew up with. And I just think that there hasn't been a better Superman casting since him. I agree that there's some better Superman casting as of late, but I still have to give it to the OG, Christopher Reeves. I think he did a miraculous job. Another one that I thought was really well done too, that ranks up there Brandon Lee as the Crow, man. That
Oh yeah.
he was born for that role. And of course, how can you not mention the amazing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? You know, I mean, you talk about iconic roles. When you hear a character and they say the Wolverine, you instantly think of Hugh Jackman. So, I mean, I got to go ahead and put him up there. And one of the other guys who's in my top 5, Patrick Stewart, is Charles Xavier. And at number 5, the great, the late Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. JC, I didn't get a chance to take a look at your list. Just sent it over a little while ago. Let me know who your favorite is to win the entire event, or maybe even your dark horse. What do you think the fans are going to pick? Because your pick might not be what the fans pick.
My pick, my number 1, is actually Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. If there was ever anybody that was more perfect for a role. Now, I will note that on my rankings, I included 2 people you didn't even mention that I think deserve to be in the top 16. And one of them is Hugo Weaving as V.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could see that.
And Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
No,
I think that's
Lord
a better
have
fit than
mercy.
Tobey Maguire. That's another debate.
You're reaching.
That
I'm
is
not
another
reaching.
debate.
Yeah.
Reaching.
But I liked some of them. If there's a dark horse on there, oh boy, Chadwick Boseman has a good shot to beat some people. I think that's a very important casting too. But I saw Mike's. Ben Affleck as Daredevil. Yeah, he loves that movie. Actually,
I don't know what he's drinking or what he's
Nah,
smoking.
he's always loved Daredevil. Actually, so I was waiting for him to put something about that. Actually,
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
He's just an overall Ben Affleck fan, that guy.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Oh, Jericho, who wish he could be on the show. He actually sent me his list.
Mhm.
He has Christopher Reeve on the top of his list.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman is number 2. Robert Downey Jr. as number 3. So you can't argue
Mhm.
against any of those. And my list is a little bit different from y'all's. I was actually very surprised that you guys didn't have this guy higher on your list, Joe and Jericho. But I had Patrick Stewart, number 1, Charles Xavier.
2 for me.
There you go. My number 2 wasn't on any. The first 2 lists wasn't on there very high at all. Kelsey Grammer as Beast, as Hank McCoy. Kelsey Grammer, that was one of the greatest casting choices in comic book history. Not a big role for sure, but I don't think that's more. You can get more perfect than that.
That's
Although
more
I did
honorable
have.
mention. That's more honorable.
Oh, are
mention.
you kidding me? No.
Hey, look,
Kelsey Grammer
I'm
is
not saying it was a
huge.
bad casting. The problem is everyone it's one of those things where if you're in a comic book movie where you're a team of comic book movies, sometimes it gets overshadowed by things. So having to think deeper into it, it's hard to for me personally to put him over J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. That's just too perfect.
And I think it's on that level.
Yeah.
I think it's on the level. And
Yeah.
listen, J.K. is not a main character, I would say,
Mhm.
in those Spider-Man movies. He's probably one of the top supporting characters, but he's not in your top 4 or 5 in those
He's
movies.
one of the most memorable
Yeah.
Yes.
from
His
all of them.
performance.
So this is going to show that in this tournament,
Mhm.
you can have supporting characters that are right on the money, hit the nail on the head. And
How are we not mentioning Ron Perlman as Hellboy?
another great choice. Another great choice. For me, dark horses go Ryan Reynolds. Let's see here. I think Wesley Snipes is another dark horse.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
lot of people love Blade,
Mhm.
and
He was on my list.
he's on everybody's list. But I think
Mine too.
the way we vote is not necessarily how the rest of the fans vote. We clearly saw that with the Marvel movie tournament. 'Cause we all had different choices than what ended up winning.
I'm curious to see how many Sin City fans are out there because I do have Mickey Rourke in my list as Marv.
Nice.
I think that was when that movie came out, everyone that relaunched Mickey Rourke's career. He was the perfect casting for that. He looked dead on to the comic too. So, yeah.
My other dark horse, Heath Ledger. I'm not gonna be surprised if fans vote Heath to win the entire thing, and I'm not gonna argue against it. I think he can easily win this, just as Ryan Reynolds could, and maybe even Robert Downey. He's in my top 5, but I still have a few people ahead of him, including Brandon Lee. He's my number 3, so we'll see what happens. That's our March Madness event. It starts tomorrow. Brackets are coming, and hope you guys all participate. We've had thousands of votes in the past, so we're hoping for just as big of engagement with all of our fans. Can't wait for that to happen. All right, let's get on to some movie news, and we're going to start with DC, and we're going to start with the Snyder Cut. IGN held a virtual fan fest on YouTube. They interviewed Zack Snyder once again. You got a lot of the same kind of questions, and I feel a little bit not bad, but Zach's been answering these same questions for years now, ever since the announcement came that we were going to get the Snyder Cut. Even before that, some of these questions are just rehashed over and over again, and fans already know the answers. I don't know why we keep asking these same questions, but we did get a great promo that showed our Justice League members on the face of the mother boxes, and it's beautiful. It's glorious. Check it out. It's on our Facebook page. Absolutely love the visuals, all the little Easter eggs, all the little tie-ins to the history and the storylines and the arcs of these characters. It's a beautiful montage, and I just can't wait to see the Snyder Cut. Other than that, Zach says he doesn't know if there's going to be a theater release. He doesn't know if there's going to be a physical copy release at this point. And I think he's being honest about that. He just says those discussions really aren't really happening right now. So kind of waiting to all see what happens with that. Other than that, I don't like spoiling anything for people who don't already know some of the other heroes or the characters that were getting revealed. I did find it interesting that he said the open compartment in Man of Steel that we all assumed was another Kryptonian. Zach says there was a plan for that. There is an idea of who that is in his mind, but he will not reveal that. So it's not just a possibility. It's a for sure thing that we may or may not ever see. And I also like that he was asked by a fan if Warner Media decides to do a follow-up to Justice League, will he come back, write, and shoot it? Zach responded kind of politically correct and said, I'll kind of wait and see if that happens. He says it's unlikely that he will get asked, but he didn't say no, that he wouldn't come back altogether. So that was my kind of summary of that. You gentlemen see the promo or see the interview with Zach? Joe, how about you?
I didn't get to see it, unfortunately. I was a little too busy,
Oh.
working, but I wish I was able to see it.
JC, how about you, man? What did you think of the promo?
I love the promo with the mother box ties and everything. And there was actually a really cool tweet that Ray Fisher put out, and it was just all emoticons and showing the characters on the mother boxes. And I wonder if that's a clue on how they're all linked somehow. I don't know. It was kind of cool to look at if you ever wanted to check out his tweet on that. But I love the promo. I like it. And I'm hoping that's the last one. I mean, I didn't watch the interview because if he revealed anything else, I didn't want to know. I think I've heard enough about this movie now. I'm at the point right now where I'm just ready to see it and be surprised with what I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I completely agree. There's a lot of tie-ins to mythological characters. All the league members are sort of looking like these Greek gods from old stories and the mythos and all that. So it's a beautiful montage they put together. We have some comments. Mike says, is there a difference between a great performance and perfect casting? I think there is. And we agree. We agree. But if you have two individuals who are both sort of on the same level as perfect casting choices, how will you vote? And I think the only other way to do that is who you felt had a bigger, a better performance, or I'm getting distracted here. Hello.
Hey, she's barely early.
Hey.
Hi.
Say hi. Say hi to everybody. How's it going? Good? Let me tell you, she's excited for the Snyder Cut because she's been talking about Batman everywhere we go, basically. So, yeah. And Paul says it was him in the movie Man of Steel He says he farted in there, and the compartments were airtight, so it's not like it could go anywhere. Appreciate it, Paul.
Thanks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So good old Dutch oven.
There you go. Kryptonian style, basically. Snyder Cut, March 18th. I'm still waiting for some sort of announcement, hopefully with IMAX, regarding the Snyder Cut. I know it's a long shot. I know that it's not likely to happen, but I really want to get that full theater experience, like any way I possibly can. So we'll wait and we'll see. And this also leads to our next topic, which JC, I know you're gonna have some stuff to say. It's been kind of announced that there's going to be some sort of a Superman film or a type of reboot, if you will. It's not necessarily going to have Henry Cavill. It's kind of looking like less likely it's going to involve Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel, but they've already hired the writer, Issy Coates, who's writing the script, and J.J. Abrams, who we all know from the Star Wars sequel trilogy, is actually producing with his production company, Bad Robot. So it's bittersweet for me. I want another Superman film, but I'm not ready to move on from Henry Cavill. JC, I know you feel the same way, right?
I do. I don't want. I'm not ready to move on. I don't think it's ready. It's not his time yet, and I'm hoping that there's something out there that the Snyder Cut may relaunch something with Cavill. You know, that they keep going with what they intended to do. But I mean, he wasn't the problem with the way some of these movies ended up. He was never the issue. It was, we've talked about it before. It was executives. It was so much like that. But yeah, and with some of the rumors I've seen, it's not looking likely that Cavill would be who they're going to continue with. Maybe he'll appear in the Flash movie in some level, and they're just keeping that quiet. But if they drop Henry, that would suck. But if some of these rumors are true, they're making a very bold step with this Superman movie. And it has me theorizing, if this is the direction they go, it may not be the last we see of Henry in the role. So I don't know if you've heard any of these, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, talk about it. I wish I could be optimistic.
Sure.
But go ahead, man.
Supposedly, the lead person that they want to play Superman in this movie is Michael B. Jordan.
Which we've heard for months. We've
heard for a while. Jordan has expressed in the past he's interested in playing Calvin Ellis, who was Black Superman off the New 52 continuity.
Right.
A different version of Kal-El. Is it going to be Val Zod, who was another, like, later on, multiverse thing, which would tie in well to the Flash universe? And with the casting of a Latina as Supergirl, it's possible. Because there is an Earth out there where every single member of the Justice League is a minority. You have a Black Superman, a Black Supergirl. You have a Native American Green Arrow. So there's so many ways they can go with this. I'm curious to see what direction they move with it. So, but that's interesting to me, that if they decide to explore that part of it, it has me theorizing that maybe there could be two Supermen on screen at the same time, which would be very interesting.
And we have a comment from Paul, friend of the show, Paul, who says he will also be so disappointed if they drop Henry. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. JC is not ready. Joe, are you ready to move on from Henry, or should WB get their stuff together and bring him back for another film?
No, man, it's time to move on, dude. Why I like the character. I'm going to be honest with you. Look, I like the character. I like to be portrayed as far as Superman goes for the Justice League, and not only, but the Man of Steel. And I like him, man. I like him as a character. I like him as a dude. He seems pretty cool, man. But at the same time, what direction is the studio going to wind up going in? We're not going to talk about it a lot, but if you give it a chance, it might surprise you. Look at what happened with this latest interpretation or iteration of Superman and Lois. Totally new take, totally different Superman. And it's a new series that works because it's giving you a fresh take. I'm going to say, if you're going to move away from having Henry Cavill and you're going to go ahead and go in a different direction with Superman, the only way that it's going to work if it's a new, fresh take. Give us something different, you know? Don't give us the same old rehash again and again. You know, make it interesting for us. Give the fans something else to really embrace about this new reboot of Superman, is what I'm saying.
JC, any follow up?
Um, I just want Henry to have one more standalone movie for himself. That's my thing. But
Okay.
I can understand why people want a fresh take, and we don't know what Henry's schedule is like right now. You know, he's busy getting cast for so many other things. He's a popular actor. He's well in demand right now, and Superman has a lot to do with it. But yeah, it could be them trying to do something fresh, especially with Superman and Lois. You would have a Superman on TV and a Superman on screen playing the same character, but you know that might get confusing to some people.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
So
I'll say it again. I'm just not ready to move on. JC
yeah,
says
I'm not.
he wants to see Henry in another film. Maybe it's just we need to have some sort of conclusion. Like
Mm.
that could be it. There's just so many great Superman stories, so many great villains we haven't even scratched the surface yet.
It's
I
like
mean,
this, though, Ted.
Of course.
It's like
uh-oh.
this, Ted. I'm gonna lay it out for you, man.
Lay it out,
It's
man.
like the old girlfriend that you need to let go. You just need to break up with her because she ain't no damn good. But you
She
just
is
hanging
good.
on.
That's
You're
She's
the
hanging
problem.
on
great.
to
She is
the
good.
memories.
She
She's
is good.
You're hanging on
fantastic.
to the memories, bro. She ain't no
No.
damn good for you, but you don't want to
No,
let it
she's
go.
good. It's just that
She's
in this
great.
case, her parents are assholes. That's basically what it is right now.
No.
So you
You
know,
gotta let it go, bro.
yeah,
You
well,
gotta
sure,
let it go.
yeah.
She's great. That's the opposite. This is a good thing.
No, she
We're
ain't great,
trying to
but
let go of a good thing, and
it's
we
like
should
this.
not do
She
that.
ain't great, but she does bad things, and that's why you keep her around. But you
Wait,
gotta let it go.
what was bad about his performance? Explain.
No,
There's
I'm not saying
nothing.
that
Okay.
he was bad. There was nothing bad about his performance. I'm saying the movies as they were delivered weren't all that great. They were okay. They were mediocre. They could have been a lot better if the studio hadn't gotten involved. You know,
Okay.
we're getting the Snyder cut now, which is going to be the most faithful interpretation of what this whole thing was supposed to be from the beginning. But
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, I'm ready to move on from it. It's just because the studio is what ruined this franchise. You know, if they hadn't gotten in their own way, this could have been really great. I mean, it could have probably been on par with, you know, making a viable run for best movies franchise out there as far as a comic interpretation goes, just like with the MCU. What the MCU does so good with their movies, they lack in the TV series. That's where the DC universe excels, and not only that, but in their animation. You know, they do a lot of things that are way better than Marvel. Marvel just has it, you know, down pat when it comes to delivering the movies, and I'm just disappointed that we as fans never got to see the full realization of what these films were supposed to be. You know, that's why I'm ready to move
Look,
on and see if they give us something better this time.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Zack Snyder doesn't do anything else live action after the release of Snyder Cut of Justice League, there's HBO Max out there, and I would guarantee he'd be cool enough and he could write something for an animated movie to finish everything he dreamed that would happen.
No, no doubt.
And even if he brought in Cavill and Godot and Affleck as voice actors and Ezra Miller and anyone that would just do the voice acting for what he envisioned it to be, that'd be good enough for me. I would love to see everything finished live action and say, screw what the executives think. Like, we're going to do it the way it's intended, the way everyone's going to want to see. I think after Snyder Cut, everyone's going to want to see how this plays out, especially if we're getting another nightmare sequence. Like, you know, I went back, I rewatched Batman Superman Ultimate Edition this week. The way that movie plays out, like, that's got me amped wanting to see what happens in the Snyder Cut. And that nightmare sequence is, there's got to be something else he had planned, something deeper. And how the mother boxes get involved is a lot to do with it. So
that was another element that Zach sort of spoke about in this IGN FanFest interview. He actually said Justice League 2 would have been an entire movie set in that nightmare sequence. Think like DC Comics mixed with like Mad Max Fury Road. That would have been Justice League 2, and it would have had the what was left of the Justice League, because I'm sure Wonder Woman or probably a few of the characters wouldn't be around any longer. It would just be the last remnants of the Justice League banding together with whatever other superpowered heroes or villains that they could to try and fix reality or just fix the timeline or just save the world because Darkseid pretty much looks like he eradicated like 90% of the entire Earth's population.
Yeah.
Mike on Facebook says Warner Brothers screwed the pooch with the DCEU. They keep getting in their own way. And
Yep.
then Paul says it would help if they picked people who love the content to be in charge. I agree with
Yeah.
that. I agree
Exactly.
with that. Mike says you can't say screw it to the
People
people
in
in control of the studio and money. Unfortunately, sometimes the executives who make all the decisions are the ones who get their way, which we're kind of seeing with the whole Ray Fisher fiasco. We do
Oh,
know that there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of chaos, a lot of people treated in a bad way by either Joss Whedon or by Jeff Johns, because now it's not just Ray
Mhm.
who's saying it. It's a lot of people who have worked
yeah.
with like Joss Whedon who are coming out and saying it. And it's bad. It's really bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. The
And
sad thing is, they
we
all
didn't
can't
take
be
it that
wrong.
and we didn't take it that seriously. I mean, the fans did. The fans who supported Ray did, but
Mhm.
media, not at all. No one
No.
took it that seriously because it was one individual talking about it after this film came in and basically crashed and burned. Zach's wife, who was a producer on Justice League, Deborah Snyder, as well as Christopher Nolan, who was also an executive producer on Justice League, both watched the theatrical release of Justice League and went back to Zach and said, "Don't watch it. You cannot see what they did to your movie."
Mhm.
And that's just people who got your back, man. If they see it and they're like, "What the hell is this?" and they tell Zach like, "Never, ever, 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 ever watch that movie." That's people who have got your back. That's people who
Mhm.
support you. Clearly they knew what they were talking about. Even studio execs are coming out now saying, "Look, it was horrible. They really should never have done it. I've said this once before. After Zach had that tragedy, they should have just postponed the movie, give it another year. Let Zach know he can come back and finish it. After that, fans would have waited based on the circumstances,
Yeah, they
and
would have understood.
That's agree,
yeah,
but that they put so much pressure wanting to compete with Marvel, compete with Disney. You didn't have to do that. You just run your own thing. Everyone's trying to compete in their own way.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking, I'll throw it into wrestling. Everyone's like, "Oh, AEW is dead in the water. They're not pulling the ratings WWE is pulling." They don't need to. They're pulling in what they're doing. They're doing their own thing, and they don't worry about what their competition's doing. Just make just let it play out. We're patient. We'll wait. We waited this. We waited. Come on, we waited 76 years for a Wonder Woman movie, for crying out loud. Let's be honest here.
Yep.
We're patient to an extent, but Mike, as far as your comment, you're saying you can't screw it to the people in control of the studio money. Look, if they don't let Zach finish what he started, I will happily give them a stone cold salute if I can't say screw it to their faces. That's all I'm going to say about it. So
You're gonna
Yeah.
give them the DX salute.
DX, and I think Stone Cold's a little more emphatic, the double bird thing. So
There you
Yeah.
go.
Paul says they let the Marvel boy finish the movie. Can we say sabotage? Is you know is it plausible that Whedon might have had a reason to do that? Maybe. I mean, he's not that much of a Marvel guy because Marvel sort of pushed him out and said, we'll give it to the Russo brothers. We got it from here. You did good, Joss, on 2 Avengers films, but we'll take it from here." So I don't know how much loyalty he has to Marvel. And secondly, I would love to say this is all Joss's fault, but it wasn't his decision to bring him in and reshoot 70, 80% of the movie and rewrite the entire script. Somebody else decided that, and Joss unfortunately was the scapegoat
Okay,
and
but
had to try and complete an entire movie, redo an entire movie in a matter of months. He was given the impossible task. He never should have said yes. I don't want to put 100% of what happened to Justice League on Joss, but he's also kind of at fault for the way he treated a lot of the cast and crew.
I was gonna say, granted, the movie may not be his fault, but that doesn't excuse the way he allegedly treated the cast and the crew.
No.
And like Mike says, it's very similar to how, as wrestling fans, we cheered for Joey Ryan, and then there's all this news about him now. We can't believe we supported him. That's another story. We won't get into it here. Google it. So, I mean, that's kind of how it is, and these things happen. I mean, you can't feel ashamed for cheering for it. You don't know the inner workings.
We just got another comment from Paul Lee. I'm going to show it on screen right now.
Yeah.
He could have said, no, the movie is done. The vision is here.
That's true, but I'm sure for all we know, Warner Brothers could have been the bullies themselves, and he in turn threw that at them. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, Joss didn't take the job and say, I'm going to rewrite everything. I'm going to do all this work, because he could have easily just did what Paul said. Come in, all the footage is there. Let me just finish the VFX work that Zack already put together on the film. That's an easy job. Easier. I'll just say easier. That's an easier job than bringing the entire cast back, reshooting 80% of the movie, not being able to get Henry to shave his mustache. So that's an additional VFX job that crashed and burned. So I won't give him 100% at fault for reshooting the movie. Somebody bigger than him with a much higher pay grade decided they don't want to see what Zack's doing. Somebody basically tried to push Zack out completely. Like,
it was
take
all
away
behind the scenes, man.
Yes.
I think they took this as an opportunity to try and get rid of him.
Yes.
They didn't like his vision, which, that's how Zack Snyder does it. You have to let it play out. You have to let the puzzle come together.
Look what happens when you put people in control of delivering such a film that love the content. Look at what happened with The Mandalorian. They got people who love the content, who like live it, eat it, breathe it. This is their way of life. And then they put together such a great series as The Mandalorian. Same thing could have happened with the DCU, with their movies moving forward, especially with the Justice League, if they had put people behind the scenes that actually cared about the content and would have kept the studio at bay and say, dude, get out of your own way. You're ruining everything.
Ryan from Alamo City Movie Talk, he's online. He says, not somebody, it was everyone at WB. Actually, Zack has a few supporters still at Warner Brothers. Not many, obviously. But guys like Jeff Johns were executives when Justice League was getting filmed and shot at the time. He's no longer an executive. Now he has just a production company that he's running. So the people who were around Justice League at the time, as well as Kevin Tsuchihara, who was kind of like the primary villain at WB, they're no longer in power. Those guys are gone. Berg's gone. Jeff Johns they all got smaller roles now. So, they're out of the way. And we have guys like Jason Kilar at Warner Media, who's actually giving the Snyder Cut to the fans. So
I'm going to display a comment from our good friend Ryan over here.
There you go.
He put #fact. WB and Disney really care about what people think. And he's not wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Warner Media, they're our last hope. Save us, Warner Media. You're our only hope. So I think if we ever want to see what JC talked about, the Snyder universe play out, we're not going to have an ally at Warner Brothers. I don't know if they think it's just too risky, or there's not going to be any sort of profits to make from putting so much funding towards more movies for the Snyder Cut, or the Justice League 2 or sequel or whatever. But Warner Media might be the only opportunity left for us. But I think at least Zack is content with completing this film. He's doing it for the fans. He's doing it for his daughter, Autumn. And I think he's happy enough with that. So if that's good enough for him, for now it's good enough for me. But we'll always wonder, what if we did get those sequels? How would this have played out? Would it be as glorious as a lot of the Snyder Cut fans thought?
we would have been talking about them delaying Justice League 2 because of the pandemic today. That's basically what we'd be doing.
Exactly.
Or they would be simultaneously releasing that on HBO Max with the theater, you know. So
yeah, completely agree. All right. Well, that's our news on DC films as well as the Superman movie. Oh gosh, I really want Henry to get another shot at it. At least we'll have him in the Snyder cut, and there's still a small bit of hope that he might have something to do in the next Shazam film. There's been those rumors. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see.
If they need another casting of Superman, they need to look no further than JC. He's
the
ready.
symbol,
He's
the
ready to go,
symbol
baby.
means hope. So hold on to that. I've still got hope that Cavill gets another shot, and I'm still gonna hold on to that. Now that being said, if they do go the route that's rumored, and it's Michael B. Jordan playing one of the Black Superman, by all means, I think that'd be great. I think it would be pretty awesome to see. So either way, you know, I'm gonna pay money to see it. So
There you go.
yeah.
How about some rapid fire, gentlemen?
Look
Sound
at
good?
This was an interesting one. Let's talk about this quick comment by Paul Lee. He put the boys in charge of the DC animated films need to do the live action one, and they're not wrong. And same thing that Ryan said. No, Ryan said this. He puts replying to Paul for real. I agree with them.
They're smart. They're super smart. Brandon Vietti actually, who wrote the Young Justice series, co-created Young Justice series, did the sort of revision of Death in the Family, the Red Hood animated film. Me and AJ actually watched it. That's the Choose Your Own Adventure Blu-ray. And it was interesting. I don't.
It's like playing Dragon Quest with a comic movie. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I don't want to get into the different timelines or conclusions that you can come up with, but I'll probably do that in another video. But again, he's one of those guys where him and his buddy Greg, I want to say Wiseman, they're so brilliant when they write Young Justice, and they've done some of these other animated films. I just hope that we would get someone like that to take over. But I feel like it's just a wish, that it's like a fantasy that I don't know if it'll ever just happen. I have no idea. I don't think it would, but it would be great. I really think it would be great. How about some rapid fire, gentlemen? Sound good?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. First of which caught my eye, pretty big news. Netflix, which people keep saying like Disney Plus is going to compete with Netflix. HBO Max is going to compete with Netflix. Now Paramount Plus is going to be the next Netflix. I've been telling all these people, like, look, Netflix has been 5 steps ahead of all these other streaming services, and this just goes to show that what I'm saying is true. Netflix is developing a anime series based within the Terminator universe. Doesn't necessarily mean that we'll see Arnold in anime form, but it is a possibility. But I want to get quick thoughts on this. JC, anime series in the Terminator universe. Would you be interested in seeing that?
Yes. It's the Castlevania anime series is amazing.
Fantastic.
And it's awesome. So if you're looking at another way to explore the Terminator side of things in a TV series or an anime series, and give it more of a chance than the Sarah Connor Chronicles did, I'm down. So, anybody still remember that show? I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, I'm interested to see this. And it's anime, so it's going to get pretty violent. So
the Sarah Connor was Summer Glau?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who was also
San
a
Antonio.
San Antonio native.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. San
And she
Antonio
also
tie
came
in
out
there.
in Firefly.
She's
That's
in Firefly, and then had one of the most hilarious. She was made a cameo as herself in one of the most hilarious episodes of The Big Bang Theory ever. Go check it out; it's pretty hilarious. So, yeah.
Awesome. Joe, how about you, sir? Anime Terminator series. You in?
I'm in for it. Let's see what they can do. I'm always open. When they're going to try to do something a little bit different. I'm going to give it a shot, and hopefully they deliver. They're keeping the storylines, the details of what they're going to actually do under wraps. We're lucky they even announced that they're working on this type of series.
Mm-hmm.
It's intriguing to me. I'm excited. I'm going to give it a shot and see where it goes.
There you go. And last bit of details or information for that series: it's being written by or produced by Mattson Tomlin, who is the writer for the Batman featuring Robert Pattinson. So they have a pretty solid writer, I think, that's heading that. So yeah.
Look at Mike. Mike
Oh,
is
I
uh-oh.
gave Mike a softball because I knew he was going to say this if you mentioned Summer
me
Glau.
and
I was like,
Summer Glau have the same exact birthday. We should have hung out in the nursery together.
I
Aww.
don't doubt that y'all did, man. If y'all were in the same hospital, so yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
There you go. Next bit of rapid fire news. This one I've been waiting for a while, and we also got a clip. I hope you guys got a chance to see it on social media. But the Modoc series is dropping May 21st on Hulu. It sort of looks like it's in the vein of Robot Chicken. It looks absolutely hilarious. I love the animation style of it. So if you haven't seen it, head on over to our Facebook page. Look for the post regarding the Modoc Marvel series and click on the clip. It freaking hilarious. I can't wait. So that's dropping May 21st. Animaniacs got renewed for season 3.
Season 3.
JC is excited. We're all excited. And season 2 is going to be dropping later this year. No
Yeah.
official date has been revealed at this moment. So waiting for that.
Mm.
There's been a G.I. Joe series that's been announced, and it's going to focus on Lady J. So I know this got a lot of the Twitter guys, friends, interested in finding out what that's all about. But sounds interesting. And last but not least, for rapid fire, Paramount Plus announced that the long awaited Halo series is going to premiere on Paramount Plus next year in 2022.
Mm.
Joe, I know you're all excited about that, right, man?
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this for quite some time. You know, we get little teases here and there every now and then. You hear something that's rumored to be coming through the pipe, but it never comes to fruition. I'm glad that finally it's going to be, I believe, produced by Showtime, but it's going to air on the Paramount Network.
Oh
And the
boy.
interesting thing is, I just saw on social media earlier today that they released some photos from the set and they showed some of the Marines in full costume and full armor, and they
Nice.
showed Warthog. So I was like, oh, nice.
You mean the
So
Puma?
yeah, well, it's not a promo. It was just pictures. It was just pictures from behind the scenes. That's all they put.
You got to know red versus blue to get that joke.
Oh,
If anybody
God.
out there got it, yeah. So
Yeah, I watched Red versus Blue, but it's been
Okay,
quite
yeah.
some time since I've seen it. I mean, we used to really watch it back in the day when Halo 2 and all, was
Oh
going.
God, yeah.
It
Oh,
was
yeah, I
hilarious.
met those guys. They're awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, no, but it looks good. It looks
Mhm.
like as far as what they're able to do right
Mhm.
now is that they're wanting to make a faithful interpretation of what the essence of the game was and put that out there into a series. And they're really paying attention to the details, as you can see from that leaked photo that they had going around. So I'm hopeful that's going to deliver, and it's not just all hype, much like the iCarly reboot.
Why are you hating on Miranda Cosgrove?
Oh my
ass?
gosh. Miranda, he does not speak
iCarly,
for all of us. Joe speaks for himself only. Totally down with watching you in a new
iCarly should have
series.
died out with her career, bro. That's all.
Shut the hell up, dude. God.
And Spencer for real, bro. He's like 60 already. No.
Hey, he was funny. He was funny.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Last bit of news. I had one more story to mention. Neil Blomkamp announced on Twitter that he is officially writing the script for District 10, a sequel to
Ooh.
District 9, which came out feels like 10, 15 years ago.
What
It's
about the
been
other 8
such a long
districts?
time. Oof. No, none of those. None of those.
Okay.
But this is exciting. District 10 was like it was out there. It was really strange, but it was just a great sci-fi movie, and I loved the story. And it was very visceral. It was kind of unique to see aliens more like refugees instead of what they're always depicted as like world takeovers. So
Yeah.
it was interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes from there. Don't know anything else at this point, of
They
course.
made me wait too long, dude. I'm already kind of jaded about this, man. It's like y'all made me
It's been
wait.
a long time.
You're gonna deliver District 10. I'm like, you know what? I just don't. really give a shit at this point anymore.
Paul's
Like, what is he
excited.
now? Is he going to be
Yeah.
a full-on roach? Are they going to have to get him with the raid or the fly swatter? I mean, what's going to happen?
The chancla. Look at him with the chancla.
The chancla? They're going to have the gift come down as a chancla.
That's what it's going to be. Yeah.
Mike says, I guess he took more than 3 years. And Paul says, I am so excited for District 10. I agree, Paul.
Yeah.
I feel like I was working at the Huebner Oaks 24 GC when District 9 came out. I feel like it was that long ago.
I was working there when Titanic came out.
Oh, my.
That was a nightmare. Every showing sold out from the moment it came out until it won the Academy Award. We were always busy.
It was, what, 3 hours, right? 3+ hours?
3 hours, a little over 3 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, Jack, I wanted to drown already.
It was DiCaprio mania then. So I will note, though, that theater was the first time I got to see the original Top Gun on the big screen. And that was pretty damn cool. So, yeah.
Paul, actually, who's online chatting with us, was also a Huebner Oaks 24 employee.
So was Mike. Him and I worked at concession stand together. Yeah.
Concession stand,
At
bro.
Huebner Oaks as well?
At concessions. Well,
What
Mike and I
the
were
heck?
there within that first year that it was open.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, we were, I guess, OG concession stand workers, if you will.
I never worked at
Yeah.
the theater. I always wanted
Yeah.
to. I've worked at the theater, though.
Yeah, actually referred Mike to get the job there, and then it was hilarious because then our senior year in high school, one of our managers was a substitute teacher for one of our classes one day. It was the funniest thing. So,
You just blew Paul's mind. So, Paul, I don't know if you were working there that soon or that early when it opened, but I was there a few years later on, and I saw openings for like the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. I don't know if I was ever Titanic, but the sequel trilogy for Star Wars.
you would have been too young.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings. That was probably the biggest movies that came out. The Raimi trilogy for Spider-Man. I was there for all of those. So yeah, I was later on.
Huebner. Paul was talking about Huebner, the Huebner Oaks Theater. I went there and I was able to see the last prequel movie. Was it the Revenge of the Sith? Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith. I saw that one there. It was a premiere that they had, and it was amazing, dude. You talk about the geeks coming out that night. They were in costume. They had a section of the parking lot like closed off with cones and tape, and they were going like all at it, dude. They were having like lightsaber battles in there, people dressed in full costume. They had a guy going around circling around the Huebner Oaks theater, and he had a truck with a big screen in the back and a generator, and he was playing the original movies the whole time, just going around the theater. And then even inside the theater, you had people in costume. They were quoting, scenes from the movie and whatnot. It was fun. It was lit.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore, man. But it was an experience.
It was, I think, probably the biggest, most anticipated film probably ever. In that, even I think it surpasses the sequel trilogy or Episode 7 because again, I was there at Huebner Oaks. We were packed, and then Paul brought up something. There was lightsaber fights in the lobby. I'll take it further. There were lightsaber duels in the theaters prior to the movies starting. And
just for the seats. People were trying to get the best seats, so they had a duel over it. Is that what you're telling me?
What I'm trying to say is
to the death.
These guys who it seemed like they had practiced these duels in some other fashion, or maybe they were just grabbing. I feel like some of these guys were just going up and just putting on these kind of force mock fights in front of an entire 400 seat audience just for the hell of it.
Great.
So they would just do these random duels. They would pretend to like use the force. They would duel with lightsabers, and then they would leave one theater, go to the next one, and then do the same thing in front of that theater of another 300, 400 people. I've never seen anything like that, even for all the sequel trilogy films. Never anything like that again. And that was, Paul, you might remember, we probably had, episode 1 on like 12 screens, maybe, at least, maybe 15 out of all 24. Like it probably
the middle 4, probably 4 on the sides or something. Yeah,
at least I feel like it was at least a dozen. Probably half the theater was just episode 1 at that time. And it was great.
I gotta say that Revenge of the Sith with Anakin and Obi-Wan going at it, hands down one of the best lightsaber duels ever, dude.
Agreed.
I agree
Yeah.
completely.
The geeks stood up and were screaming and shouting on that one. They lost their shit, dude.
Yeah.
Good times, good times.
Paul says, I so wanted Mr. Riley to stand on that weird little catwalk
Um,
connecting the second floor to the big front windows and being dressed as Gandalf and do the whole Mines of Moria bridge
You
scene.
shall not pass.
You shall not pass.
So if you don't have your ticket, just So yeah.
All of A side and lobby 4, he says. So that
Jesus.
was 10 theaters, 10 houses. We call
10
them
plus
houses,
4,
right?
so 14.
10, and then the
Yeah.
main 4 in the lobby. So
Yeah.
14.
And the other 10 were for rom-coms and other shit that was already out. So
Yeah, anybody
Yeah.
else who wanted to die that weekend because you should not have opened your movie alongside episode 1
yeah.
or any of those other prequel films. All right, been a good time going down memory lane.
One quick note about Paramount Plus. You didn't mention this. Right now, if you
Go for
sign up, if you pay for an annual subscription for Paramount Plus, you'll get it for half off right now. So check out Paramount Plus. I think the promo code's Paramount Plus in all caps. And sign up. We did because they announced a good deal, and I think they said that 30 to 45 days after their movie's release in theaters, they're going to put them on the service. They're just going to go straight to that. So
That is correct.
We
Movies
figured,
like
hey,
Top Gun.
Top Gun. They're going to have some exclusive things like if you're a fan of the Challenge, Ted, the Challenge All-Stars exclusively on there. For old folks like me, the original Real World cast is getting together for a reunion that's going to launch when Paramount Plus does as well.
How much money must they have thrown at that entire cast? Because I can't imagine anybody would want to go live with like people they once knew, like 25 years ago.
I imagine they're only going to be there a week instead of 6 months. But there's enough drama from what I've seen in the trailer. There's still,
they still don't like each other
on some level. And just for Joe, you mentioned already the iCarly reunion is going to be back.
Can I get it for free if I mention I watched iCarly like 20 times because of my kids?
So I think there's a lot on there. Of course, the Star Trek library is on there. Just about every single season of The Real World, The Challenge, Road Rules is on there as well so far. It's still CBS All Access for now, but it flips to Paramount Plus on March 4th. I think you have until March 3rd to sign up and get the year at a half off. So don't wait on it. Getting a full year commercial free, by the way, for half off, just the $50 for a year is pretty damn cool.
Look at Mike.
Can't
Mike
beat that.
Tonight, dude. Look at what he put. Dude, that would be like grumpy old man now.
Okay, well, here's an old school one for you that my wife is excited about. Clarissa Explains It All. She's like so excited to watch that again.
Man, dude.
Yes.
Wow.
Because Nickelodeon falls into that library, so it's pretty damn cool. Yeah.
Star Trek too. I'm a Trekkie.
Star Trek. I need to watch Picard, Discovery.
So
yeah. So
I
I finally get to see it.
All good. They have the full library. If you want to go back and watch the old series, if you want to go back and check out the movies, it's all there.
I have so many memories of my grandfather showing me the original series on VHS.
Oh man!
And so when he would take me on traveling, I would watch some of that on VCR in the motorhome. So get to watch all those old things again streaming would be pretty cool to see again.
Good stuff,
a lot
man.
of memories, yeah.
There you go. Let's see. And then kind of the one last one I wanted to call out is they're going to reboot the Rugrats, but the animation is now going to be 3D, like CG or computer animated. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see a fresh take. And they're bringing back the original cast, which is massive. Because if you had... Yeah, the original voice acting cast. So if you had, different voices on any of these characters, it would ruin everything. But the fact that they're bringing back all the original voice actors is incredible. I can't wait to see that. And I get to show my baby girl, who we just brought on the show a little while ago. So she gets her own Rugrats like franchise for herself. I had my own as a kid growing up. Now she gets her own. I think that's beautiful. It's absolutely incredible.
Bringing it full circle, man.
Yeah, I when they brought Muppet Babies back, it was kind of the similar thing for me. So
there you go.
Pretty cool.
Don't forget the intro song. I know you still sing it.
Muppet. They didn't change much either with the new one. So
once you hear it, it's like Shark Baby. You just can't get it out of your head.
All right, gentlemen. I think it's time to move on to the reason why we're all here today, and that is the epic episode 8 of WandaVision. And let's go ahead and start with the beginning of this episode because it was pretty phenomenal. Phenomenal?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
The Marvel logo gets the Agatha Harkness treatment, turns purple, and we open in 1693 in Salem, Massachusetts, where Agatha is being held by is being held captive by her own coven and her mother, and basically sentenced to death for breaking the rules of using dark magic. This is such a powerful scene, and I think we should have all seen it coming, right? Um, 7 episodes of WandaVision building up to the reveal of Agatha Harkness, and we have 2 episodes left. And what are the questions we need to be answered? Agatha's motives and basically how Wanda created the hex to begin with. So this is where we see Agatha's motives, kind of in a way, her little origin story, if you will. And she breaks free from all these other witches, which are basically trying to suppress her, harm her, kill her, whatever have you. And she's just that powerful with whatever this dark magic she's been using and tampering with. And even her mother, who says, you can't be saved, you're not going to be good. Agatha's asking to be saved, but you kind of wonder if it's genuine or not. I can be good. No, you can't. No, you can't. So takes out her own mother, but keeps that brooch, and that's the same brooch that we've been seeing her with ever since episode 1 of WandaVision. JC, you must have loved this opening sequence, right?
Yeah, as a history nerd, getting to see the Salem witch trials all over again. It's one of those weird times in history, but yeah, no, yeah, it was pretty
weird
cool.
Because not a trial being held by like the villagers.
The villagers, yeah.
And somebody suspected of being a witch. I kind of thought that's what it was when we saw it.
It was like all those like vampires putting other vampires on trial. You're exposing all of us, or this is witches putting witches on trial. You're exposing us. You're gonna
like your favorite Twilight when Edward Cullen goes out and does the sparkles, and you're exposing all of us.
Yeah, when they went to the Volturi, which is made up the real actors in that whole. That I digress. Anyway. No, I think that was a pretty cool thing. Coven's trial, as Paula just said, and
exactly.
It was interesting to see that on her at that time. Obviously, she still knew she didn't have control over her abilities, and I think she, at least on the surface, seemed like she unintentionally sucked the life out of everybody there, and that's probably what gave her life to live this long as a witch. I mean, she kind of sucked the life out of everyone there, and has no control over her ability, is just like lost in what she's doing. And now she has no one to teach her how to handle this. So she's got to figure it out on her own. I thought that was very interesting. It kind of paints Agatha in a different light than the way she was revealed as. It was Agatha all, you come to think she's like a big bad, but I leave this episode, at least in that scene, feeling like maybe she's not really the villain we thought she was,
I don't know. I don't know.
So on the surface, that's where I'm looking at it.
We'll definitely get into that kind of discussion because I think there's a debate there, but I know I'm leaning one way more than the other. Joe, what do you think about this opening sequence?
I thought the opening sequence was interesting, to see how they went ahead and spun Agatha's origin story, and she's getting justice by her own coven, so that was cool too. And another interesting thing is you seen the color coding for the magic users or the magic wielders in the MCU, which is the humans seem to be wielding a blue aura or blue colored magic, kind of reminiscent of nature magic. And then you have the red magic, which is Wanda's chaos magic. Then you have whatever Agatha is wielding, which is purple. And then you have the Sorcerer Supreme magic, which is that orange hue that we see with Doctor Strange. But with Agatha, you kind of get the sense that she's right where she wants to be. She wanted to seem vulnerable. And then what I think she really understood is the weakness of the witches is when they're all together and they're wielding their magic, they're going to go ahead and be connected to her so she can drain their life forces at that time. And that's what she did. Her mom tried to put an end to it by really using her full force, which we saw that crown come up on her head, which is very reminiscent of the Scarlet Witch's crown.
Yep.
So she went and used all her power to try to go ahead and stab Agatha right in the heart. Unfortunately, she winded up getting the life sucked out of her too, and Agatha just like casually just snaps the bands, the magic bands that were tying her hands, walks off the platform, gets the brooch, and is like, all right. So whatever dark magic she's wielding, she might not have known at that point how to fully control it, but she knew enough to be dangerous. And I think that's what the scene was portraying, is that she's starting to understand the full scope of what this magic can kind of do, but she hasn't learned to control it yet, like you said, Ed. But either way, it still leaves a big question mark, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more. What kind of magic is Agatha wielding?
Right.
We don't know.
We don't know, and it might be something that we do get an answer for in the next episode. But now let's get to the motivations behind not only Wanda but Agatha as well. So we jump back to present day. We're no longer in the TV show episode of WandaVision. Now we're just outside, in a way, of the hex in the basement of Agatha's house, and Wanda is trapped, unable to use her own magic because of rune spells cast by Agatha, who says, if you're the caster of the spells, only you can use magic. I feel like that might come back later on in the next episode. And then she casts. She also mentions her brother Pietro, who she calls Fietro, fake Pietro. I thought that was hilarious, by the way. But this is interesting. So we've been debating on exactly who Pietro is. We all had our theories, right? And Agatha says it wasn't all her. That leaves a little bit of room for interpretation. Not all her, but she says it was her eyes and ears just using him to gain information, and that she used a possession spell, that the real body is still on another continent, so she couldn't,
with holes in it, as she said.
with holes in it, she couldn't bring back the body to life of her real brother. So she used a possession spell to take over the body of someone else, is what it sounds like. And
The essence.
that person is trying to pretend to be Wanda's brother. It's all kind of a bit hazy. It's just interesting that she says that wasn't all me, like as if to say she's not 100% behind Wanda's brother making a comeback to begin with. Joe, how did you take all that?
I think it's basically what she's saying is that she maybe wasn't able to bring back the body, but she
Right.
could bring back the essence, the soul, the and put it in a new body, a husk. But she's still controlling it, because at this point, it's just funny how they have varying, I guess, memories of actually what transpired. Wanda remembers things a certain way. The fake Pietro, he remembers
Pietro.
things in a different way.
Right. Right.
So it kind of is like, okay, well, if this is in fact him from, this realm or this universe, then his memory is skewed. There's something up there, so we don't really know the full the all the information, let's put it like that, of what is what's really going on with this spell. We just hear little, nods here and there. This is what it could be. This is what it could be. I think there's still a lot of things we don't know. I think hopefully in this next episode we'll understand a little bit more. But I think they're doing that purposely just to set things up for, like JC and me know, the grand finale, the grand stage. So this was a really good episode, though. Nonetheless, it's trying to tie in a lot of the little loose ends, so things can start making sense a little bit more. And again, this possession spell or whatever we're gonna call it is one of those things where they reveal a little bit, but not enough for you to make sense of what's going on. You think everybody at this point has more questions. So Disney's very sneaky. You're sneaky, Disney.
Paul says, I think Wanda in her grief has merged realities, and this is why we have muted Pietro from the X-Men universe, which is why his memories are different. And I know that's a very popular fan theory, and I'm just
Mhm.
waiting for like the one clue that might give us that conclusion.
Well, I think
But
we
I
got
haven't
to.
seen it. I
We
haven't
had
seen it yet.
we had it. I'll tell you exactly when it happened. Notice that when Wanda was standing in the I guess the ruins of what was going to be her home, right?
Hmm.
Where she just had her breakdown and she just went to her knees. Just she was done, dude. She was just so full of grief, alone, like she said, and just she released her emotion. And in that moment, you saw the chaos magic come out as one huge cloud, right, of energy.
Hmm.
And then when she was making the vision fully realized again, bringing him back, you saw two different colors there. You saw yellow and you saw red.
Hmm.
Yellow is reminiscent of the Mind Stone.
Right.
What I'm thinking is because Wanda's a Nexus being and she exists within all realities, maybe somehow she was able to tap into one of the Mind Stones that exist in one of these other realities and fuse that with her chaos magic to actually bring forth this version of Vision. That's just one of those things that's flying out there that I kind of,
Vision or
gravitate toward.
Pietro?
I'm talking about Vision, when she
Okay.
brought back the Vision, when you were talking about how are these realities coming together? And I think it's because of Wanda, because she is a Nexus being that's connected to all these realities all at once. Maybe there's something there too. Maybe Agatha's tapping into that, and she can kind of manipulate things a little bit as well by bringing back this Pietro, the husk, but the soul, whatever that's inhabiting the body is different.
Yeah. JC, what about you, man? What is your whole thoughts on Pietro?
It's this whole sequence has kept alive my theory since he debuted that this is our X-Men Quicksilver.
Is it
Um,
though? Because Agatha says it's just a possession spell. Like she doesn't
but
The
say.
body, the body
okay,
is
she can
trouble.
possess the body and everything. She can't give it abilities, can she? Can she
Nope.
give it super speed? Can she give it the personality it has? She can control a little bit of the speech and this and that, but you know, that attitude is very much X-Men Silver. It's very like Joe theorized there when we saw what Wanda did to create the hex, recreate Vision almost uncontrollably. She did it out of pure emotion.
Yeah.
What I think she may have done was unwittingly opened a rift in the multiverse, rather small one, but well, she cannot. She ain't that powerful, Paul. I see that, but maybe she is. Maybe she, in emotion, she's able to do that. But the whole the idea that she pulled a Fietro, maybe it's not the one from their universe. She found this body possibly lying there because he was pulled into that multiverse or to this Earth, if you will, and she used him. He already has the silver hair. He already has kind of the look. He already has the super speed. I guess it would make sense.
And what did he say, JC? He goes, "I was shot in the street like a punk," or something like that.
Yeah,
Like a chump,
like a
Like a
choke.
chump. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which
uh,
which we know that's not true. We know
mhm.
that he was actually saving lives when
Exactly.
that happened.
Agatha wasn't there. She doesn't know exactly how it went down, and she doesn't have any. Obviously, she has no idea what Wanda and Pietro's childhoods were like.
Yeah.
So when he's trying to throw memories out there, she's just like feeding these ideas out there, and they would explain why Pietro or Peter, if you will, let's just call him Peter,
Let's call him Peter.
is kind of deflecting. Like when Wanda's trying to prod and test him, he kind of calls him out, and Agatha hears that too. So, um, Paul says it wouldn't be the first time Wanda's rewritten all of existence. Yeah, and it's pretty true. I mean, none of us thought going in she'd be able to just recreate Vision. All of us assumed that she stole the parts and then put them back together somehow.
I can't
But
wait till we talk about director
Mhm.
hated. That guy is a certified dick, dude.
so,
Which
so I
can't wait
still
to
hold
talk
my
about
theory.
either, but we're gonna.
It still holds my theory that this is Peter Maximoff from the X-Men side of things. His father's Magneto, and this is a backdoor way to bring in the other X-Men into this MCU.
I
Chris
like
brings,
it, JC. I like it.
Chris brings up a great point with Pietro looking so different. How was Wanda still able to know that was Pietro or her brother? Can I say this? If I'm I'm not thinking about what we've seen so far.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about what is the writer, what's the next step for the writer? What's the end game with regards to Wanda's brother? If I'm writing this show, I'm gonna bring in somebody who is looks fake, which Agatha says is fake. Wanda tells her kids episodes ago, that's not your uncle. Don't call him that. You know, she never believes for like 1 second that this is her brother. And so for Agatha to even say to Wanda, you fell for it. You just fell for it. You thought it was him, blah, 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 blah. And I don't buy it at all. So if I'm writing this show, there's going to be a moment where Wanda's real brother, I would bring him back into the fold. How you do it, with an illusion or a memory or something, it doesn't have to be like a real person. Like it could just be a flashback or just her mind putting an illusion of him in a scene. But I think that's a payoff that the writers are building towards, which unfortunately goes against probably JC's theory or maybe Joe's.
Well, look at this.
So
What happened with Wanda, Ted?
yeah,
When she had Pietro show up right at the door, she was
yeah.
confused. Maybe she really thought
Very.
she brought him back because the way she brought Vision back, was just something that happened. She didn't have control over it. So maybe it kind of threw her for a loop. But as she finally winded up pushing him out of the way with that, hitting him with that red, chaos
But
magic and sending him flying. She was like, "This isn't my brother."
But you
You
know
know?
what she's also honest about not doing it because she even told Vision like when the doorbell rang, that's not
Mhm.
me. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And now we hear from Agatha, that's not all me either. So it's like nobody's taking credit for who this person is and why he's showing up at her doorstep. So
Everyone's deflecting again. Yeah. So.
what I'm saying is, I don't have all the answers, but the payoff should be Wanda's real brother comes back somehow. Not permanently by any means, is not
Mike
what I'm
has
trying
a
to say.
comment here. Do you see Mike's comment?
What's that?
He said
MCU.
the MCU Quicksilver was affected by the Mind Stone too. Maybe that's how his spirit reappears.
That could be it. That could definitely be it.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's move on with the episode because I know we got a lot to talk about.
Yep.
Uh, this next these next sequences are just absolutely incredible. So Agatha's motivation now comes and is revealed. She wants to know how Wanda is using her what she calls illusions, right? She doesn't fully know what they are, I think, in a way. She thinks that all of this is just kind of either magic, but a higher advanced level of it. Agatha casts a spell that allows us to see Wanda's memories. It's a Latin word. I think the Latin word for memory is actually used in her spell. And she's using Wanda's kids as leverage to force her to kind of travel back through her trauma. Makes you wonder if that was the purpose for the kids all along. Agatha, who we knew as Agnes before, was kind of one of the first individuals to kind of push Wanda towards having kids. So it makes you think back to those early episodes and wonder if she always wanted there to be some sort of leverage over Wanda, either by using Vision or maybe these kids. Was that always the point? Memory number one, we see Father Oleg bringing home a box of VHS tapes. For those of you who don't know, those are cassette tapes. They were massive. You had to like just rewind or
There
fast
were,
forward.
yeah.
Look at Mike. I feel so old that in Wanda's flashback to childhood, they were watching DVDs and not VHS cassettes.
Were
I
they
turned.
DVDs?
They were
Oh,
DVDs. They had some
they
VHS
had
mixed in there,
VHS
but they
tapes in
had
the
the DVDs.
box.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
The Dick Van Dyke Show was on DVD. They had like the whole thing.
that was the Holy Grail too. Yeah. So they had that hidden away. I mean,
Well, Wanda's father brings back first the box of VHS tapes for family TV night. Wanda's pig is Dick Van Dyke, season 2, episode 21. I wonder if
Yeah.
that has any specific things regarding that. JC probably knows.
the walnut. Actually, Tina pointed it out. Is that entire episode turned out to be a dream? The whole
Which-
walnut thing. Yeah. So that's what it was.
I'll say in a minute.
Yeah.
Wanda's line from that. I also think it might come back that the father said that's being kept in a kind of a super secret place, and
Mhm.
it was like a hole in the wall behind a curtain.
Yeah. He
I
would
wonder
say,
if that will
"Close your
come
eyes.
back in some way.
Close your eyes." He was telling her, "Close your eyes."
Mhm.
That's right. So this whole memory is where her parents died, and when the Industries bomb landed in their living room, trapping her and her brother for 2 days, waiting for it to go off. Which, as some of us mentioned, was what the whole purpose of the first commercial with the Stark toaster was. Blinking, flashing red light was
Mhm.
the sound of a bomb. I think I mentioned that. Humble brag.
Okay.
So
Show
that's
off.
what that reference was. And the line that Wanda says while she's hiding under the table, by the end of the episode, you realize it was all a bad dream. None of it was real. I wonder if this is going to have a bigger meaning after the last episode. I'm very curious on why that was such a highlighted line. Joe, what did you think about this first memory going back to that moment when her parents died?
I just think it was a very profound and meaningful memory that set up the premise for what we're watching right now, as far as WandaVision and why everything started off very Dick Van Dyke-ish,
Mhm.
in that era, and we finally get to see what really transpired. Is this is what she used to watch with her family that she has a really great memory of. This is what makes her feel good. This is her happy place watching these old sitcoms, with her family,
Mhm.
and we see how it's incorporated into the illusion that is being brought over Westview, you
Right.
know? So it was very telling of, I guess, what her psyche is at this point in time. She's just, it's playing on what makes her feel good. Everything, the illusions there, the costumes, the hair, everything is set up there to help her cope with this grief, with this loss. And these are the things that are her happy place. So Westview is created just for her specifically because all these things make Wanda happy, you know? So
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really telling piece of the whole puzzle. And not only that, but we get to see what really transpired in that conversation that she had with Ultron, about them waiting to die for 2 days
Right.
because the bomb didn't go off, But in that whole thing there, Agatha's like, okay, so you waited 2 whole days and you all were safe as kittens. She was like, "What I'm seeing here is a baby witch, throwing out a hex." She called it a probability hex.
Hmm.
Which it's very strange. It's not 100% clear, right? I think there's still room for interpretation. Agatha doesn't have all the details. She kind of sees it play out, but it never really looks like Wanda's controlling anything at this point. She definitely wasn't expecting the explosion that took her parents out, and it's very interesting that it's being taken that way by Agatha. Um, Mike says after hearing the story in Age of Ultron, it was cool and heartbreaking to see it play out. I agree,
You know?
completely profound. And then Paul had mentioned we're going to get a Snyder cut of Endgame, and nothing happened the way it originally did. I love it, Paul.
Uh,
Um,
Mike's reply to that: Snyder would make Ant-Man moody and edgy.
oh my God. Paul also mentioned earlier that her magic was being used to control people miles away at the edges of Westview.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about it. Her powers were kind of less controlling at that point, and that's why people weren't functioning as well. JC, your thoughts about the parent scene, the childhood scene with Wanda?
This really played out. This kind of set up everything. First off, it confirmed all the TV shows we were comparing it to throughout the episode seasons. We saw the DVD sets for Bewitched, Malcolm in the Middle. Uh, I think we also saw Brady Bunch in there,
I
And
Love
then
Lucy.
yeah, I Love Lucy. That was an important one too. And so that's a happier time for her because right after that is where the tragedies start to hit. That was the first big tragedy, the first big trauma in her life, that the beginning of the PTSD, if you will, for her.
Oh, for sure.
The parents' death, and she's got perfect memories of it. Watching, she knows what episode she was watching. she knows what show it was, and she remembers looking at the Stark Industries bomb for 2 whole days, waiting for it to blow up. So
I
there's
completely agree.
always that deep-seated hatred building up in there from that moment on. So
Friend of the show who's also been on the show before, Nick says, I think it's straight implied she always had her powers, and the
Mhm.
Mind Stone just amplified them. We're gonna get to that just a second, and I agree. I think she might have had powers. It's just not completely clear that she was the one that prevented the bomb, right?
Mhm.
Definitely could have. I'm not saying it wasn't. Um, but they thought it was a dud. Wanda thought it was a dud. She somehow doesn't even know that she's doing this. So
Mhm.
very strange. But I do love that they pulled this scene out.
Didn't you think it was curious, Ted, that they didn't actually show her wielding the magic? As soon as you see her come out and stretch her arm out, they pull her out of that
Yeah.
memory right away. So we don't really know what happened. We're just assuming that she cast that probability hex, but we don't really know because Agatha pulled her out of that memory before she could fully show us what she was going to do.
Mhm.
I completely agree. And she pulls her out and takes her to memory number 2. Enter Wanda in the Hydra experiments with Loki's staff from Avengers 1. The Mind Stone reveals its true form to Wanda, and only Wanda, might I add, as she gets a vision, no pun intended, of herself as the Scarlet Witch. What a powerful moment. This was absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
And I love it, the way that it all happened. And this might be Strucker, the guy on the right with the hair. Maybe he had hair at one point. That kind of reminded me of Strucker, but they never really call it out.
Mhm.
I would feel like that's the thing Marvel would have done, bring that character back during these experiments. So she probably only survives because she's a witch, but the way that the stone opens reveals itself just to her, and she sees that vision in the sky of what looks like herself in the classic Scarlet Witch outfit. It was just incredible. You loved it, Joe, right?
I did, but I think I kind of got the meaning of this whole scene a little bit differently than you guys. I think maybe what she's seeing
Ooh.
is future Wanda giving this Wanda her powers. She could have been
Hmm.
hearkening from some point in time in the future and using that the exact specific moment to give herself powers, to give herself these elevated powers. That's kind of how I took this whole thing. Not that she was seeing herself as she would appear in the future, but she was actually seeing her future self grant herself these powers. Could mean have a different meaning that we're just not seeing yet, but we still have one more episode. So that's
Oh
how I
yeah.
interpret it.
Let's see here. Paul says it reveals her true form, like that, like that. And Mike says this was the best Dark Phoenix in a movie yet.
Oh, my God.
Bravo, Mike. Bravo.
Mike has been on fire today. He needs a badge. He'll be here all week.
Look at his reply to your comments too. By the way, that's some Harry Potter book 3 stuff, Joe. With the whole giving yourself the ability. So yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
love it.
Let me
Uh,
put that on there too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nick's
Mike's just rolling.
Nick's calling out that Wanda's gonna totally wear this outfit by the end of the show, as well as in Doctor Strange too. So I would love it. Absolutely, bring it. Paul says it was when the chaos magic and the Mind Stone yellow were merging. It sent reflections back through time and space. Dude, that's deep, Paul. Love that stuff. JC, how did you interpret this scene?
The first movie it actually reminded me of when it all played out was Contact, the ending to Contact, where she goes through that whole thing and then flies right through and nobody sees it. And there's just like 18 hours of dead space. But just the fact that she experienced all that
Yeah,
and all you saw in the video was her standing and then her collapsed and nobody knows what happened.
yeah.
So I thought that was pretty intriguing that the Mind Stone revealed itself to her. I was waiting for them to show in some way what happened to her brother with it, but obviously it's just her memory, so she would have no idea how he got his abilities too. But that was very interesting to hear how the Mind Stone came out to her and she survived it. One of the few to survive. I think they said like everyone had died to that point.
Yeah, anybody that
So,
came in contact with that thing was vaporized.
yeah, and
Basically, yeah.
maybe her abilities were dormant and the stone brought them to the surface on some level. So yeah.
Or another theory is she's a mutant.
That's what I was just about to say.
Same
That
with her
she's
brother.
been born with these abilities, most likely, and that exactly how Agatha put it. This sort of enhanced those abilities, and so you could discern that she is probably the first mutant in the MCU.
Well, I mean,
Maybe.
if you want to say that, and that's not too far fetched to believe, because what they established at the opening scene with Agatha is that witches did exist, like they
Right.
inherently had abilities. It's just that they probably, since the Salem witch trials, stayed hidden away, and unknowingly, on some level, that gene passed through to other generations. Someone made it to Wanda. Uh, Mike mentions it. Did Wanda give Pietro powers to keep him alive? That's a good possibility. Maybe she used her chaos magic to, and the power of the Mind Stone that was within her, to unlock his mutant ability, and that's how he gets his. So that's very, very possible too. So
That would be pretty awesome.
mhm.
Enter in the next memory. We see Wanda at the Avengers compound after losing her brother, sharing a beautiful moment with Vision, and Paul Bettany, who has some of the best lines in this entire series, or just anytime he's on screen, by the way, mentions what is grief if not love persevering. They have this great discussion about all the loss that she's had, and he says he can never experience that because he's never loved anything and lost anything afterwards. So he's never had anything to lose in the first place. Just a beautiful moment between the two of them, and it, is the beginning of what turned out to be a beautiful friendship, and then some afterwards.
Yep.
JC, any other takeaways from this?
Just you're just kind of Vision's learning how the world works. It's very reminiscent of just him figuring it out. Up to this point, all we know about him is he's done battle through Age of Ultron, and that's it. So, for me personally, I think we've all dealt with some grief recently, whether it's family or friends. That was a very, very good line for anyone that's going through it recently too. So I was, I needed to hear that. So thanks, Vision. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that hit me in the fields too, because I've lost family members as well. And you still wish they were here, and you go through the stages of grief, including being angry, being upset that they're not here, and what he said really struck a chord with me too. It's love persevering. That's why it hurts so much. So I think it had a profound meaning to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Paul Bettany doing it big. He's just beautiful in this role. If I don't know why we didn't include him on our comic book movie perfect casting choices. He might be one of those honorable
Because we
mentions that Joe was
debated
talking about.
we debated last time that he wasn't showing all the abilities Vision really has. So that's another
My
topic.
goodness.
We set YouTube on fire with that.
Yeah, we
debate,
did.
We could have dropped Kelsey and put in.
Yeah.
Oh man. Next memory, number 4. We see Agatha really pushing at Wanda to try and figure out, what was the thing that really sent her over the edge. So we see Wanda go to Sword and asks Hayward to recover Vision's body, saying that he deserves a funeral at least. Hayward declines because he's a dick, and shows her what is left of him. Sword is working to bring him back online as a new sentient weapon. This means that Wanda stealing Vision was completely fabricated. And keep this in mind, it's only meant to deceive Monica. That has to be important. So think about that while I finish this. Hayward also thinks that Wanda's powers are strong enough to bring Vision back to life. I'm trying to figure out how the hell this guy knows so much about a lot of things. The remnant space, radiation, like now how powerful Wanda is. He knows a lot of stuff. Is it only because he's director, or is there something else at play here? The assault team confronts her as she gets a closer look at Vision. Hayward tells them to stand down, and Wanda claims she's unable to sense him anymore and leaves to a home in Westview, purchased by Vision. I guess Vision has money, and it's in Westview where he puts it, she can grow old. Gentlemen, this is episode 4. I've told you guys, something's up with Hayward. He has ulterior motives, and this is most or not all of the motivation of his. We're going to see the final part of his motivation at the end of his episode. But everything he told Monica was deceptive. He lied completely.
Bullshit. It was bullshit.
It's a great way to put it. My question is, why Monica? He's setting her up. He put her in a dangerous situation and harm's way. Was it specifically to get her out, gone? Like he's happy with her no longer being in the picture because she's the other qualified candidate to take over the director's job of Sword. So is that the sole reason behind it? What other motivation does Hayward have to lie to Monica? Because he's not lying to the rest of Sword. They're all in on the mission.
drinking
They're
it
all in on
Kool-Aid.
the plan.
They're
Yeah.
drinking it
Well,
Kool-Aid.
yeah, but I mean,
Monica's the
Nick,
only one who's outside of it.
Nick just says right there he wants to stay in control of Sword, and that's really what it is. At this point, he's been acting director, what, for 3 years now. It's been 3 years since Monica's mother passed away, and he doesn't want to lose that power. And it's possible that, why does he know so much? Well, as soon as he was director of Sword, he found out all this intel about how Wanda got her abilities. He probably found out what experiments Hydra did, using the Mind Stone and everything to grant those abilities. And knowing that the same stone that gave Wanda her abilities is the one that brought Vision to life, or could bring Vision to life, maybe that was like a setup way for him to kind of interact with, just to get that. And now, so at this point, it's been 3 years. He's sitting there dismantling, trying to turn Vision's body into a weapon that he can control. That's really what it's about,
Yep.
So, and Wanda, we forget, has only been dealing with this grief for maybe like what, 2 or 3 weeks, or
Tops.
tops at this point in the flashback. So she's trying to go give him a proper burial and just sees him in pieces. And the fact that, he saw her, and great editing, by the way, when he's showing Monica this, you get the video camera of her breaking the glass, breaking in, and then it cuts out because you assume the worst. You assume that she just killed everyone there and took the body and ran. I mean, as a guy acting sus, that was a great way to kind of, be an imposter, if you will, to Monica on that. But the fact that he's witnessed her using her ability to try and read his thoughts, couldn't read it. Maybe he saw something. Maybe they detected something with her ability that was awakening something up after she left that we don't see there. And him understanding that stone, her power, can awaken him, since she was born of the same thing that he was. So, and in a way, later on with that drone that he gets back, he's got all of Wanda's power right there, and he can use it to just power him up when we see at the end. So
Yeah, we
it
see
was a perfect setup, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Later on, we're gonna see the residual chaos magic, right, on the
Mhm.
drone that Hayward claims is what they used to bring him back online. For those of you who skipped the mid-credit scene, Jericho, and didn't see that last part, be
What?
sure to go check it out.
Yeah, dude.
You didn't know that? He sent in the text.
I don't read all of it. We send like 20 messages in 5 minutes. I have to skim through them sometimes. But
We'll talk about it in a second. I don't
at
mean
this
to call
point,
it out, but yeah.
you watch till the end. Watch till they give you the foreign language credits. That's it.
It's Jericho.
It's
He's
common
like
sense.
he's
Come on,
like,
Jericho.
he's like, credits off, and then he found out the hard way when me and Joe were talking
Oh
about
my
it.
god.
He's like, what are you talking about, White Vision?
Yeah.
You always stay until you see the Japanese dub, just to be sure. That's the thing.
He knows.
Paul-
I told him, stay until the end credits. my dude. Stay until the end credits.
Yeah.
Paul
Mhm.
says White Vision scares me. Ditto. Mike says Hayward says a lot of peculiar lines that often go unnoticed throughout the
Yeah.
series.
Mhm.
Most people don't notice them. I've been calling out every single one, and I'm going to harken back to the one specifically that Monica says, talking to Hayward, and she stops herself, but she says, "Is this because of dot dot dot?" There's a history there between Monica and Hayward. There was some sort of turmoil. There's still animosity, enough so that Monica thinks Hayward is purposely putting her on this kind of BS assignment for a specific reason. Are we going to find out what exactly happened or transpired between Monica and Hayward? I hope so. It's not something that I think is small and insignificant. It's enough for the director of Sword to put Monica in a dangerous situation where he doesn't give her all the information that's necessary to succeed. He knows Wanda's behind it, obviously, right? That's
Mhm.
why he's sending her there, and he doesn't tell her any valid reason for Wanda taking over a town. Vision is not well, but Vision is back at Sword headquarters, and he fabricates this entire story to put to put Monica in the situation. I hope we see what the motivation behind Hayward's actions are. I want to see that. Now
I
it's
got a
there.
theory. I got a theory because I
Drop it,
want to
Joe.
see
Drop it.
all thinking about. Ever since we hear, everybody's catching on to all the stuff that Hayward keeps mentioning, little things here and there. He knows what the hell's going on. He has information or knowledge that he shouldn't have. Period. Only
Right.
that he knows. Like he's seen this scenario already. He's seen all this stuff play out before. He knows way too much.
Mhm.
I don't even think that's Hayward. I think that's somebody else assuming that persona. I don't think it's Hayward. I think it's somebody else, and we're gonna find
That's a
out who
stretch.
it
That's a
is.
stretch.
Mhm.
I'm just telling you, when you see people who are pulling the strings in this series, it's always the people that you least suspect because they're in plain sight. Look at what happened with Agatha. We kind of knew who she was. Agnes. We kind of knew who she was all along, just like the song. So when
Mhm.
when the big reveal was, oh, I'm Agatha Harkness, we weren't really surprised. We knew that was going to happen.
Right.
But the one that's been in plain sight the whole time has been Hayward. He says a lot of peculiar things because I think he's already been here, done that before, and he wants this to play out a very specific way. Maybe that's why he's misleading Monica a lot because he feels that she's a threat. And if she is removed from that equation, if she's put back in that hex where
Mhm.
she can't really bother him, he can execute his plan to perfection. And that's what he's doing right now. He's unimpeded. He has nobody to stop him. I think this is all premeditated. He's a master of doing all this type of strategy. This manipulation, this little game that he's playing. It's all for something else nefarious in mind, as you had stated,
Mhm.
Ted, all along. We knew that he was a dick, but he's a certified dick now.
Mhm.
So
I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. I saw this one
yeah.
coming from a mile away, and I knew he was lying to Monica about something. I clearly didn't know. I had no idea that the real Vision was still at Sword headquarters, or at least with the Sword team. I'm not going to claim to know that, but I for sure knew that he was setting up Monica for something. And
It makes you
Monica,
wonder. I was gonna say it
Monica
makes
has
you wonder.
friends.
It makes you wonder if Darcy was gonna find that had she not been pulled away from the computer screen and then ultimately trapped in the hex.
That's
You know.
She
probably
was
what
right there.
that's probably
She
what cataract is. I
Yeah.
would
She
say.
Mhm.
gave Jimmy Woo the information. What is this? She was onto something. She found
Mhm.
out something about Project Cataract, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like you were able to get in, open the full file and find out. We don't know.
Mhm.
Jimmy Woo's like, what is this Project Cataract? Maybe we'll see in the next episode that he finally figured out how to open the file and
Mhm.
boom,
Yeah.
but I think at this juncture, what we're kind of looking over is what is the meaning of the white vision? He is vision fully realized. They were just never able to power him up until we saw that chaos magic that was on that drone. They just
Mhm.
needed a small portion of that. This white vision, he's gonna be a handful. He ain't no joke. I don't know if you all ever read the old comic books like I did way back in the day. It's reminiscent of Avengers West Coast. And the white vision has all of Vision's abilities, and he don't give a damn about nothing because he's just purely executing his programming at this point. Whatever Hayward put inside of him, that's what he's gonna do. He has no humanity. He's just executing the mission. So it's gonna be interesting to see Vision versus Vision. And I'm sad to say, I don't know if the Vision that we want to make it out of this at the end is going to make it out of this at the end because it's shown that he can't survive out of the hex. So the
Mhm.
only way that he'll survive is maybe Wanda kind of fuses them together. Hopefully that's the case, but
Um,
feel bad.
I think the reason it wasn't necessarily that he can't survive out of the hex. It was the fact that the hex was pulling him back in.
That was how I
yeah,
interpreted it, but
because
it could be one or the other.
and finding out that Wanda created that vision, and the idea is that if that she basically put it on there and the spell, if he tries to leave the hex, she's going to find a way to pull him back in. I think that was the whole point. That's why his stuff is flying back into the hex. The hex is just trying to suck him back into it. So it's not necessarily that he can't survive out of the hex. It's that Wanda's making sure he doesn't leave one way or another. That's the whole point of it. Like, she doesn't want to lose her happiness. She doesn't want to lose him again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mike
Well,
says,
that's the
didn't they
sad
say
part. She might lose him. She might lose him. What if Wanda and Vision wind up breaking up, just like the comic book?
I mean, that's just a life full of tragedy for Wanda again. I mean, it's one of those things where she's just going to be in a point where she can't win, and then what other crazy shit is she going to do with the chaos magic when she has another emotional breakdown?
She's been through. I just wanted to be happy, bro. At this point,
I don't. Although, as much as I enjoy an angry, pissed off Elizabeth Olsen looking fine as hell when she does, especially at the end of Endgame, it's one of those things you just want her to be happy.
I'm sorry, Ted. We interrupted you.
Yeah.
No,
Go
you're
ahead,
good,
sorry.
man. You're good.
Yeah.
Mike says, didn't they say Monica would have probably been in charge if she hadn't been snapped? Yes, and that could be Hayward's motivation for getting her out of the way. Listen, he is putting her in like a deadly situation, right? Without all the information. He's basically setting her up to die. Let's just put it out like that. He's setting her out to be killed to get her out of the way permanently. And she's the only one. She's the only one who doesn't have all the information, who's a part of SWORD. Or at least, I think she thinks she's a part of SWORD. I firmly believe that Hayward just set her up on this solo mission, and it's not anything kind of SWORD official, by the way. I think it was just like, yeah, you're going to do this for us, but I don't think it's on the books by any means. Off the book mission. Let's see here. Paul says, oh no.
Yeah, he can't survive. Or are you going back further?
Oh, that's Mike. Mike says, check it out.
Well, Mike says, is there any...
Oh, that's not the one.
There's a lot of comments
Yeah,
here.
that wasn't it. That
There's
was
a lot of comments. Mike says, is there any connection between Agatha and Hayward? Is he Ralph? Oh,
Here's
what
the
is that
one, this one in the show. It says, but why did she extend the hex instead of pulling back in when he leaves?
I think the reason she extended it there is the fact that she knows what's right outside the hex. She knows the base camp that's set up.
Sure.
And knowing that, he's fighting leaving, well, she can extend the hex to not only bring him back within the hex and save him, but to turn that entire base camp into a circus and to drag all these people in so she can control them because they're screwing everything up. I think her idea was to just trap everyone in that hex and they can't do anything as long as she's in control of it.
By the way, shout out to all the guys who are watching, man. Y'all are just making this show even better, and we appreciate all the comments that y'all are giving us right now. It's good stuff, man. Keep it up.
Yeah. Amen. Mike says, is there any connection between Agatha and Hayward? Is he Ralph? LOL. Listen, Ralph
is Ralph even a real person?
I was about to, So look.
Sorry.
Look. If you're no, listen. I'm trying to just say, if you're a writer on this show, and you kept referencing this Ralph character over and over and over, that is something you have to pay off in some way. Just like all these other little things are getting paid off, right? You have to lead it towards something. Okay, not everything. The aerospace engineer was not paid off at all by any means whatsoever. So that's one L the fans are going to take because we really ran with that. But everything else that you're setting up, I assume it has to get paid off in some way. Ralph has to get paid off. Is there a connection with Hayward? I don't see it. But I'm not going to argue against it if the writer of the show tries to make that connection. You know what's interesting?
Ted, check this out, Ted. We've had Agatha the whole time, right? And controlling things inside the hex.
No.
Well, she's been manipulated, right?
You know what I want to tell you is that all of this shows us for sure that Agatha showed up after the hex was created, right? Agatha has no part in its creation. She basically showed up as an outsider, wondering probably what the hell's going on, and kind of was learning her way. It's a
Just playing
reconnaissance
along. She
mission
said
for her.
herself she was playing along.
Exactly. But I do think
Yeah.
that it is interesting and something that we need to remember that Agatha has no part in its creation, in the manipulation of the Westview residents. All of
But
that
she
for
can
sure is
manipulate
Wanda.
them to a certain point. She can make them do certain things, and
She
that's what I'm
totally
saying.
can.
And
She
it's also possible she was living there all along, but because she's a witch and maybe
See?
she was within her in her cave with the runes, she was protected from what happened.
Could be.
That's also another possibility because within the time of being in that hex, how she's able to make an entire cave is interesting to me, and to have all that stuff there. So it's very possible she was living there as a way to kind of to hide in plain sight, if you will,
Yeah.
and she just wasn't affected by another witch's magic because she was within the room with the runes.
So my thing is, Agatha's been kind of manipulating some things inside this hex, to suit her needs, right?
Mhm.
But the one that's been controlling things outside here in the real world
Yeah.
has been Hayward.
Hmm.
So if you have a team, one inside and one outside, that would make sense for Hayward to actually be Ralph in disguise,
Again, I will not go against it if it works out, but I
Yep.
feel like if Ralph is an actual person or being, not necessarily a human being, but
Mhm.
some sort of character, he must have some sort of powers of his own. So why would you need a sentient robot as a weapon for yourself? I think if you are as powerful as Ralph should be, he's not gonna have the motivation of creating a weapon on Earth when he probably has just as much of a strong presence or firepower.
We just got another comment from Mike. He says the basement is outside of the hex, though. Notice
Yes,
the screen ratio changed last episode when Wanda walked down into it. So
thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
he has a
Mhm.
point.
It is. It is. It is definitely its own sort of
Again, it's
area.
the runes thing. It's protected from everyone else's magic except the witch that cast it.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
it's. I feel like it's either in sort of a dimension between dimensions, or it's not like it's under the hex, but
It
I
could be
do
kind of
think
like
it does exist outside of it.
it could be like one of those sanctuaries, like for the sorcerers. You know how they can
Sure.
really have that sanctuary, but they can go ahead and open the doors or open portals to access other parts of the world right away, right? Maybe that's the same thing, but in her case, she can actually access maybe other dimensions and from that particular basement or cave or whatever she's in.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll get to the last couple of parts of this episode, and I want to hear from you guys on it. So, this property, this is where she drops to her knees in agony, and her powers extend to create a house, convert Westview to its 50s TV show version, and she even recreates Vision. Agatha, at the end of the episode, holds Wanda's kids hostage as she declares to Wanda and everybody else watching that using her chaos magic makes Wanda the Scarlet Witch. Very interesting that it's been all this time waiting for that name to come out. And again, remember the scene between Hayward and Jimmy where Hayward's egging him on, saying, "Doesn't she have a nickname? Doesn't she have anything? Something that people call her,
Some sort of
not
Avengers code. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not official, something along those lines." It just feels like he knows the answer, and he's just egging Jimmy to kind of come out and say, but Jimmy's got nothing to bring to put
Mhm.
forth. So it's one of those other moments where like Hayward always had ulterior motives. He was always playing a side hustle along this entire time. Um, Powerful moment, amazing, incredible, just fantastic. And the fact that this was, we were all wondering why Westview, what's the meaning behind Westview, why was she there in the first place. Now we absolutely know why. Vision actually purchased this property, and that's where she created this fantasy of hers.
Mhm.
Joe, this entire moment recreating Vision, you must have loved it because I know you've been kind of diving into this chaos magic and the powers that Wanda has.
Yeah, and like I had alluded to, though, I think the real reason that she was able to recreate him based on not only her own memories or the way that she perceived Vision, but also using that chaos magic and her being that nexus being and tapping into these other realities or these other dimensions, because she basically exists in all realms, in everywhere. That's what a nexus being is.
Yeah.
So I think somehow she was able to tap into the mind stone in one of these realities somewhere. And like I said, you see the yellow and you see the red coming together to merge, and out of that comes Vision, fully realized. And she's just happy and content. At that point, she was surprised to see him, and she's just like, I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm not gonna question it. I'm just gonna roll with it.
Why not? Exactly, right?
Yeah, and that's what she did, and that's why they keep asking her, how did you do this? And how did you, she's like, I don't know. I don't know. I just
Just
felt
lost control. Yeah.
exactly. It was just an emotion. She felt totally alone. And that's when Agatha goes, let's start there. I felt totally alone by myself. She goes, let's start there. Because I think as being a witch, she knows your
Well,
powers right into your emotions.
yeah, I mean, Agatha lived through that. We saw that in the opening scene. She unwillingly killed everyone else around her that was a witch, and then she was all alone, so she understood that. Mike, interestingly, says, I'm still suspect if the letter and deed really were from Vision or not.
That's
Mike,
a bold, that's a bold claim.
That's a bold statement. I'm trying to remember throughout the Marvel movie, just the sequences we had with Vision and Wanda together, if they had discussed a life for themselves to grow old with, to be together.
Yeah.
Nick probably remembers somewhere in Infinity War that conversation had to have happened.
Yeah, at the beginning, or possibly through their conversations in Civil War when they, what were you, I'd have to go back and watch again to see, but
Paul has a question. He goes, is it a title? It was a deed. Specifically, I remember seeing
yeah, it was a deed for property. Yeah. So it was signed. Supposedly he bought it, or who knows how he got it. But the fact that they had that and he had bought that 5 years prior, before the events of Infinity War, even, I think they were even on the run at the time. But he still had that in his back pocket for the two of them when everything boiled over. So if that really was from him, interesting. If it wasn't, Hayward's smarter than we thought. So I mean,
oh God,
yeah.
Could he have been playing that type of game? Is Hayward really that much of a mastermind to put her all the way in this situation? Listen, he would have as a last resort, right? But was he there though, the last resort, to start manipulating Wanda Maximoff?
He was from the beginning. Look what
he kind of was. I mean, didn't they show that he was tracking the Vision and other people within the hex itself?
He has a way of detecting a large amount of vibranium, and that would give him also a small perimeter of a scope of the people around that mass of vibranium. That's how I interpreted it. He doesn't have a tracking or anything on the physical body of Vision. He can only detect a large amount of vibranium.
It was a decaying signature of vibranium that he was able to track.
Right.
Meaning the vibranium or whatever was decaying, and that's how he was able to track it. So that's interesting too.
So the idea that even shows how much more powerful Wanda is that she can create a vibranium being as well, even though it's in a decaying form when you think about it. So that I wouldn't doubt, based on that theory that Mike put, that he might have sent that deed, possibly bought it himself, and just had that letter planted for Wanda to find to start this up.
Joe, I'm sure you want to take this question. Paul says, is Scarlet Witch like an official title? And I think there's sort of a mythos behind the actual name Scarlet Witch. Am I right?
Yeah, basically what it's referring to is, you see, what happened with Wanda in the comics, she was created from a demon that actually was in charge or took over Earth using chaos magic named Shaitan. And the sorcerers were able to banish him into a mountain, and when they kind of sealed him in there, the way that Wanda was actually created was she got kind of close, or the mom got kind of close to Shaitan at that time, and he kind of had a hand in giving her a small portion of his power with her and her brother. So there's some connection there to this demon. That's why she was saying Agatha refers to it as chaos magic being really powerful, and also she needs to, like, in other words, they came with kind of like a warning, that this isn't something that normal people wield. It's only been a myth,
Yeah.
kind of like a legend. And
Right.
now she's the Scarlet Witch, which means that there has been other versions of Scarlet Witches that have been imbued with being able to wield chaos magic, possibly because they have some connection to that demon, that entity, Chaitan. So it doesn't happen very often, but maybe the key factor in here is that they were all mutants, and he was able to awaken that within them because they were already proficient with using or wielding magic. They have to be a magic wielder in order for that, to wake up inside of them. So this is her being able to wield this chaos magic, and Agatha's like, "Yeah, I thought this was just a myth. I thought this was just something that really didn't exist." She probably thought she would never see it, and now it's here fully realized. So I don't know what her purpose is at this point. What does Agatha want with her? She wants her to show her, how did you do it, sister? How did you do it? She doesn't know. Agatha wants to unlock the secrets to this chaos magic. She wants to power up, in other words.
I love it. I'm glad you went there, Joe, because it's a great transition to the next part of our discussion. Um, After the mid-credit scene, which of course is sort of for launch. Vision's original body has been activated by using the remnants of Wanda's chaos magic to help power him. White Vision is a sort of emotionless um, version of himself. And so it will be interesting to see if he actually has memories of Wanda.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's going
I
to
can tell you
keep
at
with
this
him.
point, he does not.
Probably
He does
not.
At this
But-
point,
Or even if he's going to speak on that level,
But you're watching a TV show, a Marvel TV show, and the way that the good guy who gets transferred bad, think of Superman in the nightmare sequence, the way he's going to come back, or actually what he's supposed to do in Justice League maybe,
Mhm.
is you bring back a memory or something to um, jolt them with a memory or an emotion or something to snap them out of it. I mean, that's what kind of always happens in these scenarios where the good guy is brainwashed to a certain extent,
but I'm
and
just
you need
telling
to
you,
bring him back.
in time, the way that they activated him and the way that he's going to go into this hex, he's just executing his programming at this point.
Mhm.
And one thing that was what this brings me to another point. Age of Ultron is really, really at this point one of the most important movies in the MCU ever. I mean, it's low key, it's been sneaky like that. But one of the things that Vision says at the very end when he's talking to Ultron, I think can be played out here in this case as well. He says something isn't beautiful because it lasts forever.
Right.
That could come back and it really play out in this final episode. I hope for happiness for both of them at the end of the day. But I don't know, man. I just have a feeling that things aren't gonna end well.
Well, here's something to think about. You asked the question, Joe. What does Agatha want? And we have some questions. Agatha keeps asking her, "How did you do it? How did you create all this? And what's the purpose for Agatha wanting it?" So I'm gonna say or theorize that Agatha wants to learn, utilize, harness even this magic because she also wants to create something or recreate someone. Um, Her husband Ralph, for example, might be a lead candidate to whatever this person is that Agatha wants back. I'm also going to throw out there that maybe the person she actually wants to see again is her own mother.
Mother. I had a feeling you were going
I
that way.
don't
Yeah.
know. You all are
Wait a
overlooking-
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. The reason why I think that is because she never, I mean, I don't think she really wanted to kill her mother in a way. And the reason why she keeps that brooch is not as a trophy for someone she killed or murdered, but as a memory or a token from her own mother. So I think it's definitely possible that Agatha's main motivation is to harness this magic in order to recreate or bring someone back that she's lost. I think that's why it's so important for Agatha to learn how Wanda did all this in the first place. So, is it her mom? I think that's a potential candidate. Or is it this Ralph person who may be another Marvel villain who she just hasn't been working with this whole time, but that she wants to bring back into a true form. Joe, what do you think, man?
Telling you guys, the one person that you all are overlooking is somebody that's been in plain sight the whole time, and that's the damn rabbit, Senor Scratchy, Mister Scratchy. In the comic book version, Scratchy is referring to Agatha's son,
Right?
Nicholas Scratch. Maybe she wants to bring him back to his human form. Maybe somehow he got, transmutated to a rabbit, and she wants to bring him back because what mother wouldn't go to great lengths to bring back their children, you know? So I'm thinking that's the play for Agatha. She wants to be able to tap in to that chaos magic to bring back her son, Nicholas Scratch, aka Mr. Scratchy, which is the damn rabbit. We've been seeing it the whole time. That's my thing.
There you go. JC, how about you, man?
I mean, that might be a better motivation than any other theory I might have had. The rabbit is interesting. Why it's there. If that is her son, maybe she's trying to bring something back. She wants that magic, and obviously she's trying to see the extent of what Wanda can do, so she knows what she's dealing with. If her ultimate goal is to absorb that magic from her and kill her. So, yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she can absorb it, but she definitely wants it. Yeah, I know that.
Exactly. She definitely wants it, and specifically the way that Wanda was able to create so much out of nothing.
Yeah.
Agatha even says, "I've been studying magic for years, and you're doing the most I've ever seen just on a whim, just basic emotion." It's almost like Wanda's not a witch because she's never casting spells. She's never speaking.
She is, but she doesn't know she is. That's the
Yeah.
thing. She said, "You're casting hundreds of spells. It's magic on autopilot.
Yeah.
It took years to you learn transmutation, where she gets the cicada, goes like that, turns it into a bird, and then feeds it to Senor Scratchy."
Yeah, she doesn't have to say Leviosa. She just thinks it happens, So, Leviosa.
Very good, very good. Gentlemen, now for the impossible task of telling us what's going to happen in the final episode. I'll give you guys a minute, and I'll start off by saying I do think Agatha's motivation is involves bringing back someone back that she once knew. I would say Ralph. I would say her mom is probably my lead candidate. Don't know if she'll be successful though. Maybe she will be, and that's what will help end Agatha's reign of terror by the mother helping out in some shape, way, or form. We still have yet to see what Monica and Pietro do, what their confrontation leads up to. But I kind of still believe that fake Pietro is going to help in some way. I agree with Agatha that she's not 100% behind his showing up in the hex. I still think there's a little bit of there's a way that his showing up in the hex is genuine and it will help Wanda in the long run. You pay off Pietro with a vision, no pun intended, or the essence of her real brother showing up. I don't know how though. I don't think there's any more reveals. I think this is it. I think the last thing that we were all waiting for was something that Paul Bettany said in an interview when he mentioned wanting to work with this actor for a long, long time. I think he always meant himself. I think the cat's out of the bag. that statement was just him kind of trolling people, and it's him. Him was the last reveal as White Vision, and so I think that's what it is. I don't think this show has a happy ending. I think that there was always going to be a bad ending for Wanda and a sad, bittersweet ending for Wanda. Main reason is because she's not doing anything good here. She's been kind of physically harming and keeping these citizens of Westview held captive. So, just by the rules of what I consider comic book lore, if you will, or writing, there's no happy ending for Wanda. She probably loses two visions in this finale. And I'm still unsure about the kids. I don't know if they exist outside the hex. I don't know if they're real inside the hex. They could have just been illusions by Agatha, meant
Yeah.
to gain leverage over Wanda because Wanda's formidable and you need her to bend to your own will, and you probably need the kids in order to do that. So I'm still unsure about the kids, what happens to them after this. JC, finale thoughts, sir.
It's not going to be so happy an ending for Wanda, I think. You mentioned the loss of Vision could very well happen again. The kids, I don't know how you play them forward in the story if you were to keep them around. I mean, it's a great spot for them if you're able to keep them great, but this is one of those things that's going to end a bit more tragically for Wanda because the whole theme of this has been her dealing with grief.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she may have to deal with more of it. And whether or not that leads to another crazy emotional response where Doctor Strange will eventually have to come down in Multiverse of Madness and fix, you know? I'm still with my theory that the Quicksilver we've seen is the one tied to the X-Men universe. I still think his boy Wolverine's going to come back and try and get him out of there and break him out. I'm still holding out hope that
I am so glad you're sticking with that, but I'm don't
sticking
see
with it.
I don't see
I'm
it.
sorry, you're not going to convince me that
That's fine.
Paul
I
Bettany was
don't
like,
want
I wanted
to.
to work with this guy,
Oh.
and we're going to get the end credit scene from Into the Spider-Verse where he goes back and there's you're pointing at me, no, you're pointing at me, no, I don't I don't think we'll see that. So, I mean, if the kids live, great. That's a surprise way to bring these kids in. But I think ultimately they were an illusion. It would explain why they are able to age like that, with just on demand. That Agatha was able to create them and age them, and even hide them away. You only hear their signs. So, yes, Mike, go down with the ship, like the captain of the Titanic. I will go down with the ship. You're damn right. So
hold on to the little wheel. I'm going down with the ship.
You need.
But
to
if
put
Jackman
that-
shows up, y'all need to call me a prophet because I'm sticking with that. So
no, if Jackman shows up, I'm buying you lotto tickets, and I need you to
I'm
start
gonna
picking
take the
numbers.
song to
just
JC.
have some blood orange apples cider to go with that. So for
How
me,
about? I was actually about to say I'm gonna buy you a whole pack of your gluten-free Oreos if Hugh Jackman shows up.
double stuff. Yeah. So
Whatever you want, man.
okay.
I'd rather buy you beer though, so maybe I'll just do that instead.
Yeah. So
Mike says a profit or profit.
well, if there was a Vegas prop bet on it, if there was, I missed it. I'm pissed off, but I should have gone and put that 500 to 1 odds. Hugh Jackman shows up in a cameo, right?
No,
No, I still think this is a backdoor way that the X-Men somehow get brought in. And I only say that because they've really kept it quiet what their plans are for the X-Men. And I harken back to the whole Mandalorian Boba Fett thing, that they wanted to leave some surprise for this series. To not only save some big reveal for the series, but it's going to get people waiting. What are they going to do in Falcon and Winter Soldier? Because that's the next property. What are they going to... Okay, we had X-Men reveal here. Now what are they going to do with Falcon Winter Soldier? What's going to happen there? They're getting that excitement up so people don't cancel there.
been rumored Omega Red's going to show up in that one.
Mm-hmm. So,
That's a bold claim.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Mike says the kids may not survive this show, but they will show up again in the MCU. Maybe in Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness. Definitely possible. Let's see here. And he thinks Doctor Strange will show up in a mid-credit scene. That's been a popular theory.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there's this will tie to that movie, so that's probably one of the leading things that might happen. Joe, you sir, what's the finale gonna show us? What's gonna happen?
I'm still sticking with my original pick, and
Uh-oh. Magneto?
yeah, Magneto, Sir Ian McKellen will show up at the end. He'll come flying on
I
through.
love
You
it.
theorizing that he's there to save his son, knowing that's his son. Is that kind of
I
what
think
your
he
theory?
might know that
What is he going
he's
to do?
not
Yeah.
gonna save his
Yeah.
son, but that Wanda is his daughter. You know,
Mm.
I think that he's being called forth, or he's going to find a way through the portal, and he's going to come on through at the very end at a critical juncture and really save his kids' asses and really show everybody how powerful he is. Kind of like Luke Skywalker at the end. It'll be a jaw-dropping moment, to say the least. Everybody's going to be like losing their shit if that was the case. So that would be amazing to me. That's how you end the show. But at the end of the day, you know that it's not going to end on a happy note. If it's going to play out like the House of M, the loss that Wanda's going to experience is going to probably send her on a tangent where she'll wind up getting lost somewhere in the multiverse of madness, and they're going to have to go out there and look for her, which is something that I think could very well play out. But we'll see. I mean, Disney's giving us surprises, so that's a good thing. I'm looking forward to being surprised. And yes, I'm going to stay up till 2:02 and watch the finale, Ted. So you game?
I'm down. I'm totally down. And I'm going to force JC to do it too. Take Friday
No,
off, JC.
here's what our plan is. Oh, I think I have Friday off because I need to burn some PTO.
Me too.
But
Me too.
but that is the last day before spring break for Tina. And honestly, like, she sees it on Friday, usually in the afternoon, in the evening with me, and then she's talking to her kids sometimes about it at school. But our plan right now is for us to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, watch it before she goes to work, because she's not going to see the kids at all during spring break. So she wants to see it because she wants to know what happens, and then she's going to go pick up donuts for her coworkers. And
So
then
you're
head to
going to
work.
make
So
me and Joe wake up at 5 a.m. so we can all watch this at the same time?
no, y'all watch it when you want. I'm watching with my wife. Screw you guys. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, but y'all, man, I'm not planning to stay up because I'll need to get up early with her and watch it.
We'll
So
tell Jared.
I-
He'll be awake. He's going to be feeding the baby anyway.
probably.
He better reach out to us. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's make sure we're all on the same page here.
Mhm.
Joe thinks Magneto will show up to save the day.
Mhm.
JC thinks, I actually put in the wrong way. Joe thinks Magneto saved the day. JC thinks that is going to be
By the
Hugh
way,
Jackman.
sorry.
Hugh Jackman, not in a mid-credit scene, right? You think he's going to show up sort of before the mid-credits,
He's going to be a part of the ending. Yeah.
help resolve. My thing is that all the reveals are out here. I think Hayward was the last big reveal. I needed to know what he was doing this whole time. The curtain's been pulled back. I think now we just have a full-on action fight sequence between the Wandas, the Visions. The Vision doesn't have a last name, so the Visions, the Vision family, the Maximoffs. Maybe he takes her name. The Maximoffs.
Battle of the Eye Doctors. Yeah.
And we also
So-
have Monica and Pietro, which I still think. Okay, I still think there's a twist with Pietro, so I'm going to call that for sure. And now we still have Agatha on one side, and we have this White Vision. Who's to say that Agatha can't overtake the controls for White Vision, make him an ally? Because again,
If there's a mind of control,
well,
I mean,
maybe
yeah.
not, right? But she
Yeah.
has to be able to maybe do something. The reason why I call that out is because what is Hayward's motivation? Is his only motivation now to eliminate Wanda because she's controlling the Hex? Is that the
Mhm.
only motivation? Probably. You take out Wanda, the Hex is gone, and everything goes back to normal in Westview. I think that might be his only motivation at this point. I have one last thing to mention that I've talked about a lot, and that the Hex is going to go critical. It was foreshadowed, teased a little bit by Darcy many moons ago now, many episodes ago, that the Hex is stable, but it has the potential to go critical or unstable, meaning Wanda will lose control. And when she loses control, what will happen to the Earth or reality as we know it? I think it has the potential to be very bad. I think it has a potential to ignite the seasons that lead to um, Multiverse of Madness or Doctor Strange 2. So I don't think we have any huge cameos. I don't think there's any Wolverines, Magnetos, or Professor X's on the way. But I think that the Hex goes critical. I think that Agatha might try and bring White Vision over to her side in some way. I don't know if that's going to work out. And I think we just end up with this huge battle between whoever's left. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm solid.
Mhm.
I'm sold with that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, says Paul. She causes Multiverse of
Behind me.
Madness.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Paul
got
says
some-
she causes Multiverse of Madness. So I think that I agree, and I think the way she does it, indirectly is the hex goes critical, and she can't control it any longer. And however it spreads, or however it implodes, and the radiation or the chaos magic that is released from it, I think is uncontrollable, and it might spark the multiverse of madness. So I like that.
Yeah,
Good
look
job.
at what Paul Lee says. He puts, would be the right time for Ian, though. All right, I agree with him. And then Michael, he says,
Magneto.
left. I like that. I like that.
It's dope. Oh man, we are only 5 days away from the end of this series. We probably won't get a season 2, but I think we're all okay with that. I wrote on Twitter the other day that I cannot remember another weekly series that has gotten better or improved with each new episode. I think this is a first. And it started off on a high bar to begin with. I was all the way in on the first episode, and it's just gotten better and better and better since then. And I can't remember another series doing that at all. And it's intentional. It's an intentional decision to increase the stakes, to raise the stakes each episode, to make more reveals each episode, and more drama to reveal the mystery as time goes on. It's an intentional decision to do, and I don't think it's ever been done before in the history of television. Even the biggest, best shows you've ever seen, the Sopranos, or Game of Thrones, the first 5 seasons, or
I don't know. Temptation Island gets better every week. That's just one I'm gonna throw out there. You know,
it's also not scripted.
No,
Right?
no, it's not.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
reality TV is so much greater sometimes. Yeah.
So again, I think this is amazing that we're witnessing this show that has just, gone above and beyond anyone's expectations at all. It's just incredible, and we should not forget that at all. Paul says Magneto shows up and manipulates Vision like Pinocchio when he was still a marionette.
I
Interesting.
got no strings to hold me down.
Yeah, just
Yep.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
But White Vision does have strings, huh? Huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Again, I'm gonna repeat what Joe said. We appreciate everybody joining us on this live show. Cannot wait to see how this turns out. If you have more theories, please drop them in the comments. You can also send us a message on Facebook. You can also send us a message on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothekeycast.com. Our March Madness event begins tomorrow, or at least this week. Be sure to check back each and every single day in the month of March so that you can vote for our comic book movie perfect casting choice tournament. That's not the official name. We're going to work that out. But excited to see what happens. We can't wait. Lastly, I will ask you guys to please write us a review on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. It does help the show when we get more and more positive reviews, and we get to get seen and downloaded by more people. And thank you to the thousands who are already downloading the show each and every month. It's been a tremendous year that we've had for 2020 and 2021. We just want to continue that momentum, so appreciate it. That'll do it for this episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Thanks for watching and listening. We'll also be doing our own sort of March Madness bracket on the WrestleCast, so stay tuned to the WrestleCast this week where we're making the announcement on that. And also, while we're ready for WandaVision season finale, don't forget Coming to America 2 comes out this same day on Amazon Prime. Some of us have waited a long time for that. So yeah, just enjoy it. March is it seems like everything is launching in March. It's pretty awesome. So,
Oh, we're getting a ton of new content in March.
yeah. Mhm.
Don't lie,
Oh, yeah.
You're ready for Arsenal, like Ryan referred to Arsenal Hall.
Arsenio. Yeah. Oh, youth. So
You're too young, Ryan. You know.
yeah, and we gave him shit on out of reality for that. That was fun. So yeah.
Paul says Henry Cavill shows up holding Thor's hammer and Cap's shield. That's his guess.
Oh my God.
Oh my
And
God.
Mike says he ain't worthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. And we also
Yeah.
got the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and thank you for all the comments, and thank you to all the fans out there that are really downloading and listening to us, which I can't believe people actually want to hear us. So that's a good thing. It's encouraging.
We're doing something right, I hope. So yeah.
Yeah, we're doing something right. We appreciate all your support. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
That'll do it. Next live show will be next Sunday. Be sure to vote during.
I don't know. I'll be celebrating something that day.
Oh gosh! All right. We'll figure it out. Probably next Monday then.
We'll see. I'll be a year older.
That's
So,
right. Your birthday's next week.
Yeah, Sunday, a week from today.
Hey.
Gonna be
Oh
28.
man.
Be hitting the 4-0. And AEW Revolution is that night too. So what better way to celebrate than watching some wrestling? So yeah, I might be busy watching AEW that night. So
I don't see any other way you would celebrate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems fitting.
yeah, that's gonna be a violent night. So yeah, get ready. Barbed wire and bombs, Japanese match style. Omega versus John Moxley. I don't think
Paul,
America's.
Paul's
Yeah.
birthday is next Sunday too. Is that right, Paul?
Either his birthday's next Sunday or he's watching Revolution. Which one is it? Twinsies. Really? Wow.
Are y'all?
Well, I'd like to
Paul, are you
make an-
turning 40, Paul?
I'd like to make an announcement. My birthday month starts on Monday, so I celebrate my birthday the whole month because yes, I'm a birthday diva and I don't give a shit about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. My son's birthday is in March as well, and then Tez, R.I.P. His birthday is March 13th. Paul, really? All right, we got to talk, bro. That's crazy.
Are y'all like long lost brothers? I mean, y'all both.
I don't know, man.
Code 24 and
I'm adding this guy as a friend. He's got a Superman background on his Facebook, so I'm adding him as a friend right now.
I
That's
know.
pretty awesome.
No, I knew that. We all went to Celebrity Fan Fest and
that's right,
talked about
yeah.
Superman together.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Lee is your
So,
doppelganger.
that's
Jason.
weird.
Oh boy, that's crazy.
All right,
we got to
more
talk,
to talk
man.
about.
Yeah.
Have a good night, folks. We'll see you next week. Can't wait to watch WandaVision. We might even have a instant reaction video pop out, right, Joe?
Yeah, 202.
Okay. Okay, Paul, 10:46 p.m. I'm 3:17 a.m. So technically I'm older by a few, half a day at least. So yeah, 3:17 in the morning was me. So yeah, pretty cool.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
We'll see you next week, folks. Have a good night.
All right. Later.
y'all.